Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Double Kick Podcast. We double the kick, we double the games, we double the friends we make along the way. And speaking of doubling the friends we make along the way, we have another newcomer to the Double Kick Podcast. It's not the usual Dan Hoy you're looking at right now. We have a special guest joining me today. My dear friend, our Marvel rivals compatriot. You've probably heard me and Dan bring him up many times. He's the MVP stealer. He's the cloak and dagger healer. He's the magic killer. Zach Shotz. But we just call him Shotz. Shotz, how's it going?
It's going. Yeah, we out here. It is Sunday, living it up. Happy to be on the pod.
Yeah. I'm happy to have you on. This is something that's been in the making for a very long time. And, you know, I think as the podcast grows and as we like get more comfortable with just like how the tech works and how the format works, I want to bring more and more, you know, of you guys on, of our friends on, and just like, you know, because we're all nerds. We all talk about video games, especially in our just free time. So like, why not make some content out of it, right?
Just turn the Yap session to some content for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, it's got to be enjoyable to somebody, right?
Right. It's got to be somebody's niche. Somebody's got to have the same ADHD we got.
I'm saying, as long as there's like at least one person out there enjoying us, I think we've done our job.
Absolutely. And I enjoy listening to like all the old podcasts, you know, hearing your guys' takes on games and stuff. It's
dude, in was it November, which, you know, isn't that far away, unfortunately. I think we'll be doing this for like 2 years now.
That is insane. It's a long time. I remember when it was just like a little pipe dream that you came up with one day. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I want to do something. And then you did one episode, and then, you know, you took like a little break for a couple weeks, and then another, and now what are we, like 17 episodes in, something like that?
Something like that. This, along with the bonus level podcast, is definitely adding up the numbers. Definitely in the beginning when we were like putting these episodes out more sporadically, like, you know, one a month, one every 2 months. But now we're like we're almost putting out a weekly episode between this and bonus levels. So
yeah,
it's we've definitely come a long way. But yeah, I definitely want to, you know, get you on more often. Get some more of our other friends on more often. I think that would be, you know, a great thing. Expand the team, dive into some more areas. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Shotz, right. I want to know. You know, you're new to our people, our listening people. I'm sure most of the people listening are our friends, so you're probably not that new to them. But I want to know, Shotz, your history with gaming. Like, where do you begin? You know, what was your first console? You know, going out through the years. Like, give me the pipeline. Give me the timeline of your lore.
So the lore, it's a bit hazy. You know, it was a long time ago because we're pushing 30 here. So,
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, whatever.
Right. It's good.
It is good, definitely. I want to say they're pretty interchangeable, so it's kind of hard to remember which was first. But my first two core memories I could think that are pinpointed for when I started gaming are when me and my dad, my grandfather, he had an Xbox and he would play Halo on it. And I used to watch him play all the time. And I could remember exactly the level. If I don't know how well you remember Halo, the original one. It's the Covenant level where you're going around and destroying the beacons.
Yeah, not too sure.
But there was this point where he was just like hard stuck and he was getting frustrated, and you just had to like basically run past some enemies, jump at a banshee and fly away.
Okay.
And he was trying for like a good hour, And this is the first time I've ever even touched the game. And he was
Mhm.
like, screw it. I can't do it. I give up. I'm getting frustrated. Put the controller down. I was like, well, can I try? And he's like, sure, knock yourself out. And
Mhm.
I pick it up and I just fly past everybody, jump into Banshee, go into the direction that the thing is. And he's
Classic
literally
shots.
just it started early. I was maybe 4 or 5.
Mhm.
And he just looks at me and he's just like, are you kidding me?
What's going on here?
Are
This
you
child.
are you serious right now? And that started pretty much a little tradition that we had where we would play co-op together, and then after he passed away, I inherited his Xbox, started my collection. Later down the line, someone got me like the 360 for my birthday or something, and then the cousin gave me like all his old games he doesn't play. I remember he gave me Shrek 2. Shout out Shrek
Ah,
2.
shout out Shrek 2.
Never been another. The first one was trash. Not even the
Mhm.
same game. Splinter
Mhm.
Cell, Stealth and Conviction. Absolutely love that game. Love Splinter Cell.
Mhm.
Halo 2, I believe, or 3, one of the two, maybe even both. Um, the Simpsons racing game, that might have been
Uh,
on the original Xbox, but
mhm. Mhm.
that was a classic.
Absolutely.
And just some other oldies like that. And then my other first memory was with my mom. I went over to her place and she had the Sega Genesis.
Mhm.
And she would whip it out and she'd play. And I remember her playing like Sonic, the Mummy. She had like this Spider-Man. It might have been Maximum Carnage, probably.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then she would let me play. And I just remember playing Sonic 2 with like Tails and everything and just running through, getting real mad because I'd get stuck. And then,
Absolutely.
because those games were hard.
Those games are hard,
They were
bro.
so hard. And there was no
So
cheat
hard.
codes back then, at least not
Mm-mm.
for Sega
Mm-mm.
games.
Mm-mm.
Um, and then she would help me. She would get to the end. And that game was like a fever dream because I just remember like the ending being like you fight like Metal Sonic or something
Mhm.
like that. And I never organically got there. She always helped me. And
Sure.
then eventually she gave me the Sega. I still have it somewhere. And I just kind of dabbled, but I definitely leaned more into the Xbox. But
Mhm.
those were definitely my two like core starting foundation building blocks for becoming the gamer I am today.
Sure, absolutely. The legendary gamer you are today.
Stop it, stop
So when I first met you, Shots, so we first met when we were in like 8th grade, but we didn't start becoming friends until maybe like 10th grade, so like high school,
it. Yeah,
sophomore year or freshman to sophomore year, one of the two.
yeah,
I always knew you as like you were the Mass Effect and the Halo guy to me. You were like the diehard like Xbox guy.
for sure.
And but also you were a god in Smash. You were a Super Smash god, and that's persisted throughout the years. For all the ladies and gentlemen out there, I'm only good at Smash right now because Shots here made me the man I am. Taught me how to parry, taught me what it was to tilt. You know, uh, taught me how to use my smash attacks
Edge
in a
guarding.
timely manner, edge guarding. This guy right here, if I'm good at Smash, he's like a holy tier at it. So you have pivotal moments of gaming history in my little my brain right here. So yeah, like the Halo guy and the Nintendo guy.
Hmm.
Um, what would you say you mostly play on now? Like what's your most used console?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think a lot of it kind of comes from the fact that that was like my thing with my dad, right? Like him and
Hmm.
I were Xbox. That's what he had. That's what I had. That's what I stuck to. Everybody I knew before you and like our other friends were all Xbox. Um,
Hmm.
so I was Xbox up until probably college. So we're
Yeah.
talking like 2014, 2015. I didn't have like the Xbox, whatever it was at the time,
This
Xbox
was
One.
one. Hmm.
I still had a 360, and then my first new gen console, and I don't think I even got it like when it first came out, but was the PS4
Hmm.
at the time.
Hmm.
I got that with one of my refunds. I was like, treat yourself.
Why not?
Why
Treat
not?
yourself.
It's an investment, baby.
It's an
It's an
investment.
investment.
That's
Uh,
right.
got that. I still had a square TV, so I had to get the, the flat TV, whatever.
Had to get a 16:9 HD, baby.
I know that right there was like an eye opener. I was like,
Hmm.
I just have not been seeing. I have not been seeing.
I've
Um,
just not been seeing.
so I got the PS4. I got that. Last of Us came with it. Bought
Mm.
Destiny because I had played or Destiny 2, played Destiny on Xbox, and those were my two main games. And honestly, ever since 2014, 2015, I hate to say it, but I've just been a PS guy. Like I
I get it.
always love Xbox. Game Pass is goaded right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But PlayStation, they're just killing it with their exclusives. I just like their console design is better. It's not
Hmm.
just a mini fridge. Their
Right. Right.
controllers are great. My only complaint is that they die so quickly.
Dude, my dual senses, like the ones that I had from like launch, in
Yeah.
like 2020, I swear they only last like an hour and a half anymore.
Oh God, they're
It's
just perma
insane.
plugged in, perma
Yeah,
plugged in,
it has to be.
and like
Uh,
I've jumped into Xbox with Claire,
mhm,
and it was the first time I turned my Xbox on in months.
mhm.
I grabbed the controller, turn it on. It turned on. It was half battery.
Yep.
I had
Maybe
not used
maybe
it.
maybe using double A's was the way to go, and we were clowning on them for no reason.
Exactly. But yeah, I've definitely been more PlayStation. I've just been enjoying it. I enjoy the community. I've built up such a log of games I play,
Mhm,
friends, and all this. And you guys all prefer PlayStation too, for the most part.
mhm.
Yeah, that's probably my default now.
For sure. I mean, in this day and age when, all games are mostly coming to everything and, choosing which console is just kind of like choosing what shade of, gray do you like? Do you like the more greenish tint of gray or the bluish tint of gray? It's kind of uh, besides the PlayStation exclusives,
Right.
and the one or two Xbox exclusives anymore, it's all kind of the same. And then there's Nintendo, which is kind of doing their own thing, but I really put them in a separate camp.
I was gonna say
Uh,
Nintendo is their own whatever.
Absolutely, right? So, Shots, as I do these podcasts, I'm always in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to bring Shots on for an episode. It's not this episode, but in the future, I need to bring Shots on for an episode of just explaining Final Fantasy 14 to me and why he has like I'm not gonna make you pull it up right now, but like at least 4,000 hours in that
It's
game.
last time I checked, I have 3,720 something hours.
And you know what? I shot for a big number because I'm like, oh, this is hyperbolic. This is ridiculous. But no, it was really
You're
close to
pretty
that.
close. You are pretty close.
Jesus. Give
And
me
this,
give me give me the rundown. Like what is it with that game? Like how did you start and
all
and
right.
and why has it caught you so much so badly?
So to be specific, what Terry's talking about is he is talking about Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to put 3,000 plus hours into any of the standalone titles, call somebody, please.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Call
absolutely.
somebody.
So Shot spent 3,000 hours in Final Fantasy 9 for some reason. He just keeps replaying.
I just really there's just this one part. The music gets me, a little tear. It hits. It
He
hits.
really likes the medieval theme of it all
I
and
do. I do. The
likes the
nights.
polygons.
um, yeah. I think you even asked before. I never really said. It's definitely one of, if not my favorite game ever. It used to
Mhm.
be Destiny, and then Destiny had huge fall off, and now it's 14. Um, the reason why well, okay. So I guess what first got me into it, I remember this is probably back in high school, right? So Final Fantasy 14 came out 2010. It had
Like the
that,
original one, right?
yeah, it
Okay.
had its launch disaster. For those of you that don't know, Final Fantasy is in like this is technically like 2.0. So the original base game was terrible. It was poorly optimized. Like and this is early 2000s, so not many people had gaming PCs back then. You had to have like the top of the line for it to barely kind of function, and like there was no. It was just it was weird because they emphasized on like having it look really nice, but it was like
Mhm.
devoid of life. So there was
Mm.
nothing to do. There was no side quests, no really enemies. The combat was bare bones, whatever, whatever. And then they pulled the ultimate 50-50. No one has ever done it before. They had they took the story to its end or maybe rewrote it, whatever, and they literally nuked it. They had Bahamut drop a literal comment on the game server world. It was an in-game event. You could
That's
log in and
amazing.
watch it. You could watch this happen. And like uh the short of it is Bahamut was the big bad. He was in a moon. He broke free and the meteor like crashed down and destroyed the entire region, more or less. And then it had this beautiful cutscene that you get to watch. And then you got kicked out. The servers were down for like 6 months. And
Wow.
they, yeah, long time. And they completely reworked and rebranded the game from the ground up. They completely redid the combat, I'm sorry, the skills, the quests, the towns. The game took a 5 year jump. So from when it ended to when it picked up was 5 years later. And they rebranded it A Realm Reborn because, you know, the world was reborn after the calamity.
Mhm.
Um, when I first discovered it was at some point in high school. It was around when Heaven's Word came out. There's been 5 expansions now. The newest one's Dawn Trail, and
Mhm.
this was the first expansion at the time.
Okay.
And I remember seeing it in a GameStop because they still had physical cases of it, and it caught my eye because it was just like a picture of this really badass dragoon, you know, in the full decked out dragon armor. And I was like, what is this? So I'm like looking at it, I flip it around, I'm reading the back. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And, you know, Final Fantasy. And at that point, my first Final Fantasy game was 13.
Mhm.
So this was like really my second time even being interested in a Final Fantasy game. But then I saw it was an MMO, and then you had to pay a subscription. Of course, you know,
Mhm.
broke high school student.
Broke high school student. Yep.
I ain't doing that. I barely can
Shirt.
get McDonald's from my mom. I'm not going to
I'm
ask for
saying.
a monthly subscription. So I shelved it, and I kind of left it on the back burner. It was always in the back of my mind. I always thought like, oh, that looks cool, whatever, whatever. I would hear about new expansions coming out, this, that.
Mhm.
You know, it quickly became like the rebranding was very successful. They were very
Mhm.
successful in what they did. And you know, now there's that meme, the critically acclaimed MMO RPG Final Fantasy 14. And it's very warranted. It's a very warranted meme because it's true. Um, and then fast forward to probably COVID 2020, 2019, around that
Oh,
time.
yeah. Mhm.
That's definitely when I started.
It's the perfect time to, like, hop into an MMO.
Oh my God, all that time and I'm not doing what? Sitting there?
Mhm. Racking up these payments from the government.
Exactly. I had
Mhm.
money to spend, plenty of it.
Mhm.
Um, Me and my buddy, we were playing something. I don't even remember. We might have even been playing Destiny at the time. And you know, as one does, browse the store. And I was like going through the on sale things, and he had played Final Fantasy before, and he said it was really good. And I was like, wow, you could buy Final Fantasy plus all the way up to Shadowbringers, I think. So that's Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and then Shadowbringers. Yeah, the 3 expansions. And at the time, Shadowbringers was the newest for like $30. You could get
Oh
all of
wow.
them for
Mhm.
$30. And I was like, dude, this is like a crazy sale right now. And he's like,
Mhm.
are you serious? I was like, yeah. And we were talking about playing it. And he's like, I just bought it. And I was like,
I just I
she,
just I just sent
I
it.
sent
Now
it.
you gotta send it.
Exactly. And I was like, you know what? Fine. So I bought it. I shared my screen. He watched me like make my character and everything. And
Mhm.
then I jumped in. I made my guy. I picked Dragoon, I think. Dove into the world, started going around, and I didn't know what was going on because this is my first experience with MMO too. Like I played RuneScape back in the day, like everybody
Sure.
did, I guess. Never got into WoW or anything. So all this like lingo and like mechanics and like menus and stuff, it's just like some things the game doesn't even really tell you because you
Mhm.
have to like just kind of discover it. It was like a second language to me. It was just crazy, and I just got completely immersed in it. It got to a point where him and I kind of even stopped playing it together, and I was just so locked in. I was just putting in hours and time
Really
and
just
just
going.
doing everything. And it is funny, and I'm sure you'll relate to this because Terry always tells me, just get on with the story. You don't have to do everything, right? I'm over here achievement hunting, getting all the
Yeah.
collectibles.
Mhm.
And I that persistentness, I was doing every single side quest as they popped up in every single area. And he's like, dude, there's a lot of story. It's okay if you just go play the main story. Those will still be there. And I was like, sure.
Shots, you don't have to collect every single feather in Assassin's Creed, please.
But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I did it. And I will have you know, I've done every single side piece of content in that MMO. And he's just like, I give you props. But
So
yeah,
what is it about that, like the side content? Is it so when I think of side content in Final Fantasy games, my most recent recollection of it is like doing the side quests in Final Fantasy 16.
yeah,
And famously, those side quests, at least in the base game, I don't know about the DLC, were kind of like, just go here, talk to this person, then go back, talk to that person,
a
done.
lot of fetch
A lot of
quests.
fetch quests. Yeah, the meat of that game was really in the main quests. Would you say like the side quests in 14 are more satisfying than that, or?
Yes, well, that is one of my biggest gripe. I love 16. I thought it was a
Mhm.
phenomenal game. The side quests were definitely lacking. There was only like maybe 5 out of like the 50 that were good. And I think I even told you like if you the bad part is you have to do them all to get like Jill's side quests at the very end of the
Mm.
game, and those are some of the best side quests. But it makes you do them all. But with 14, there's a lot of monotonous, like, hey, you're not doing anything. Take this and go bring it to my commander over here.
Right.
All right. And then you have, of course, the random one offs. It's like, this guy's poisoned right now. Go get this cure from this monster, and we can make a antidote for him.
Hmm.
There is a lot of very, especially in the base game of A Realm Reborn, so many side quests as they started to find who they were, their personalities, like in every expansion they kind of got like a system where it's like, okay, new area, there's 14 quests, you do those,
Hmm.
finish the main story in that area, go to the next area, there's a new set of like 14 quests, so on and so forth. In the base game, crap ton,
Yeah.
there's so many. But the thing that I really appreciate is that guy in the swamp that you create a antidote for, right?
Hmm.
2 expansions later, you are in this area and you have to find this important person to get info on this like cult you're trying to get into because they like sabotaged your team or whatever. One of the NPCs you talk to and becomes a main character is that same guy
Oh, that's
that
cool.
you got the antidote for. And he's like,
Hmm.
hey, this game does a really good job at this. He's just like, hey, I know you probably have helped a lot of people and you don't remember every single one that you've talked to,
Mhm.
but I was in this area and you got an antidote for me, and I would have died if it wasn't for you.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
And it's really cool because this game also, you gotta remember, like, I blitzed through this whole thing in, like, 2 years, but people have been playing this game for 13 years now. So, like, the time span from that to this was probably, like, legitimately 5 years. It's like,
Right.
unless you have a crazy memory, you're probably not gonna remember that, and you talk to
Mhm.
so many NPCs. But, this game does a really good job at, like, tying up all these loose ends, and things that you think maybe weren't, like, important actually, like, come into play.
Mhm.
And like it also has funny one-offs where like later on in the game, like somebody will ask you to do something, and someone's like, "You're like the warrior light. You're like the biggest person in the area. Do you really have time to go get me this from the store?" And like
Right.
some of your dialogue options are like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good at fetch quests at this point," and it
It's
always
aware
makes
of
me
itself.
laugh. It's very self-aware, and it makes me laugh, and I appreciate it because I like remember it all for the
Mhm.
most part. So
No,
that's, I
absolutely.
think, what helps me not get tired of it, I guess.
That's no, that's dope though. It's just like, this is such a cliche saying, but it's, it really feels, at least the way you explain it and the way I hear it from like videos, like a living, breathing world that like you really want to just like, live in, and
It is.
it develops. It sounds like it develops alongside you, especially out throughout this entire long lifespan. Just hearing you say like, oh, this one NPC remembers you from 3 expansions ago.
Mhm.
And like you said, there are some people who did that one side quest 5 years ago. So if
Mhm.
we're 29, they did that side quest when they were 24.
Right.
And it's just like, wow, I remember you. I was a totally different person back then, but I was still playing this game. And then I rescued you, and then now you're here, and I'm here, and I'm a different person. It's
It's
crazy. It's
crazy.
it's really cool.
It is.
Do you so do you have the same character from the very start till now?
Yes. Um,
Wow.
and that is, probably one of the only, I would say, perks of starting it late, because like, they release, like, new races and stuff with expansions, but me coming in so late, I had the majority of them, so I didn't have to be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that new one looks cool, so I'm gonna change."
Right.
But, yeah, I've had the same character. I haven't really changed anything except maybe, like, hair,
Mhm.
stuff like that, armor, of course. But it's cool. The game has, like, an in-lore explanation for, like, changing your appearance. There's these, little potions, they're called Fantasias,
Mhm.
and, like, the way that they're described is it's like, "Yeah, if you're tired of the way you look, just drink this potion, and it'll, like, make you a whole new person."
Oh, nice. Can you change, like, your race and stuff like that, or just,
Yeah,
like, appearances? Oh, really?
everything.
How do you feel about the subscription model? Like, it's still on a subscription model, like, you
Yeah.
know, thing, right?
Yeah, it's, yeah, $15 a month. I wish there was more options. Like if I could pay like a year one for like a discount, like say $50 a year or something, I would.
Mhm.
When the thing happened with the game reboot, if you play during that time, those original people actually have a discount. So instead
Oh,
of
really?
15 bucks, they pay 10 bucks.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It is really cool. I don't mind it just because of how frequently we get stuff. Like they throw things on the store, and of course, this is all stuff you have to pay for with real money still. But they're constantly updating with events in game. All the content, the expansions, the patches, blah blah blah. It's like they need money in order to make the game work. So, and I
Sure.
enjoy it so much, I don't mind.
Yeah, as long as you're, actively enjoying it, then, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, I guess, right?
And the thing is
Support.
too, like you can pause your subscription. Like if you
Oh, yeah.
caught up, you've done everything you want to do, and you're not really like logging in every day and you want to go play something else, cancel it for a couple months and then come back when content's there.
And you don't lose, like, your character or anything like that, or
Nope,
that's pretty cool.
nothing.
It's pretty cool. Absolutely, yeah, I think that's the way it should be for
Hmm.
most, like, games doing this, like, subscription tier thing. Just let it be easily pausable, if
Hmm.
you're not playing it, and just come back. No, I like that a lot. I
Yeah.
had one more question. What was it? Oh, I famously do not like MMOs.
Our
I've
ADHD is
tried.
too different.
I know it's two different types. You are the I'm gonna learn every system, and I'm like, as soon as it starts getting complicated, I'm out. Uh, I've tried many shots. I tried World of Warcraft back in the day. Didn't understand it. Too many systems right off the bat. I'm like, can't do
Mhm.
it. I tried Final Fantasy 14 with you.
Yep.
Uh, I
He had
famously
me set
hopped.
up his entire hotbars for him. I spent
Set
an
up all my
hour doing it.
hotbars. Yeah, yeah. And I played an hour, maybe, if even that.
If
And I'm
that.
like, if even that. Got to like the first town or something. And I'm just like, yeah, that's it. I don't think I'm gonna do anymore.
All the pop-ups, they're overloading me. I'm overstimulated.
They are. They are. It's a lot. So do you I swear there's a question in here. It's not just me complaining. Do you feel like the game can be kind of overwhelming to newer players or somebody who like hasn't really played an MMO? What would be your tips? I guess would be to like a newer player like me, or unlike whatever, a newer player to like hop into a game like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100% overwhelming. Especially, I think a lot of the times too, this game's been out for 12, 13 years now. There's 5 expansions. You look at it, you see people are level like 100, you start at level 1, and you're like, how do I go from here to there? And you see all these quests. Maybe you look up a guide and you see that there's 150 quests in the first expansion alone,
Mm-hmm.
80 in the second, 90, blah, 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 blah. And you just like get overwhelmed because they're throwing all these tutorials at you and this and that. And you're like, I've heard that this expansion is so great, but this seems so slow. I think a lot of things people do is they just overwhelm themselves because they're looking at it as a whole. And you kind of have to just like take a step back, focus on what you're at now. Maybe you can do things where you can like turn off tutorials. You can like have some of the pop-up windows hidden and stuff. I would say the biggest tip is just do what you want. So you're in the game, you see a side quest, don't do it if you don't want to. No one's forcing you. It's not gonna. I know I made that comment about like this guy showing up here 3 expansions later. It's not gonna affect it. You might have like a new line of dialogue, like a little, oh hey, you did this, so here's something you'll appreciate. It's not necessarily mandatory, you know. You can absolutely skip, streamline the main content. You can skip cutscenes if you want. If you don't even want to do the main story and you like to go fishing, go fish for a couple hours.
Nice.
All that stuff is still going to be there. Take your time, learn the game, become comfortable with it. When you feel like you have a foundation, then maybe go for more. You don't even, and it's another thing they did too recently. Um, Obviously, some MMO, you play with real people. They've made it so that you can do a lot of the dungeons and like even some of the trials now with NPCs. You don't have to
Nice.
interact with people if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable, confident, what have you. You can really just take your time, make it a real like single player experience almost. Because like this
Mm-hmm.
game is an MMO, but it's like the biggest single player game, like story focused
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever seen.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I'd say that's my tip. Just take your time. Don't look at everything. Just do
Right.
what intrigues you. The game will throw a lot of things at you. Pick one or two of them. Do those. When you're finished or satisfied or bored, go on to something else.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
I think that's a good tip. Especially I think that's my problem. I'm looking at everything too fast. I feel like I pick up a side quest, I got to do it immediately,
Yeah.
and there's like so many of them.
Hmm.
I think approaching the game with a slower paced mentality of like, hey, I'm gonna be living in this world for dozens of hours. Take it slow. Take it slow. I think, and like you were saying earlier, I think 2020 and the pandemic was just like a really great time to hop into all these MMOs. Final Fantasy 14, Elder
Hmm.
Scrolls Online, even WoW, because people had nothing but time on their hands. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the secret. I got to go back in time and jump in during the pandemic.
Right. And you got to remember, like, the pandemic, like, boosted my hours. And then I've also been playing this game for 5 years. So, like,
Hmm.
if you divide that by 4,000 hours, is it really that much? Yeah. But
Yeah, actually.
yes, in short, it is. But it's not as crazy.
Good
I'm just
stuff.
trying to make myself feel better.
Yeah. Just trying to justify it a little bit. A
Yeah.
little bit. No, you're still a sicko. Don't worry.
Right.
Cool stuff. Well, you know what? At the beginning of this, I'm like, I'm not gonna make him yap too much about Final Fantasy, but then we yapped a lot about Final
I
Fantasy.
just
But
love that game.
I think it was worth it. I think it was worth it. It gave me a lot of insight and all that into it.
Okay. So you gonna try it again?
No, but thank you for teaching me about it.
Maybe
It
it'll
you know
inspire someone else to try it.
it might, and I like hearing about it. I like all video games and like hearing and talking about them. I'm not opposed to any of them. It dropped most recently, and I say most recently. I think it was a couple years ago on Xbox finally,
Hmm.
and that surprised me. I thought when it came to PlayStation, it would just come to Xbox as well. But I guess just it prioritized PlayStation, which I understand.
Hmm.
Do you think with the not announcement, the drop or the recent drop of Switch 2, do you think it could come to that at all?
I mean, on consoles, it was on the PS4.
Mhm.
It might have even been on PS3.
I
Don't
think
quote me
I
on
think
that.
so. I think you might be
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I don't think it's supported anymore. Maybe
Mhm.
PS4, possibly. But they say that the Switch 2 is PS4 Pro level, and
Mhm.
people have been discovering since it's come out that it's even stronger than what we thought. I know we were
Mhm.
talking about that the other day. I don't see why not. I mean, it definitely could. I can't speak for how well it would run because that's a very big undertaking for a game.
I'm sure it's a huge download.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at Cyberpunk. Um,
Right.
I saw someone playing Hogwarts Legacy on it
Mhm.
uh, like yesterday, and it looked great. All
Mhm.
these big games, and like people are saying like older games that had all these issues that were kind of unplayable are like phenomenal, like
Yeah.
double if not triple the power that it was.
They just needed that extra horsepower
I could
with the
see
Switch
it.
2.
It just
Would
has to
that
be talked about.
would that appeal to you at all, like Final Fantasy 14 on the go? Or, it has to be online, I guess. So, portable at the very least.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would work because the whole point of it is to be online.
Mhm.
Um, I
I
know.
guess would it appeal to you to take it around your house? Like, you're gonna go poop and you got your Switch 2 and you got the Final Fantasy 14 online in front of you, or take it over a friend's house, you can log in, do your dailies while you're there.
Possibly. I think it would be cool to have like a portable because like I don't have a Steam Deck. I know some people might, or like not everybody has a strong enough like laptop that could run it. So having it like on a reliable console that's just like you could slip into your pocket.
Mhm.
Personally, I'm gonna say personally for me, probably not.
Yeah.
But like for somebody who wants to play it and that's like Nintendo's their go-to and they've always waited for that opportunity, yeah, absolutely, I think it would
Yeah.
be worth it for sure.
Sure. I've talked about this with, I think, Dan a couple times, but I think, you, me, Dan, a lot of our friends, we're in a very privileged position. Like we have multiple consoles,
Hmm.
we have multiple ways to play a thousand different ways to play the same game. And then there are people out there who just have a Switch, who just have a Switch too.
Yeah.
And then I forget about that sometimes. It's like, there are people who wait for it to come to like a Nintendo console or just their PlayStation or just their Xbox. So
Hmm.
it's like I think the more games that are in more places, the better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I support Xbox games coming out on PlayStation. I support PlayStation games coming out on Xbox if we ever get down that line too. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
why
PlayStation's the
not?
stingiest one.
Right, exactly. That would be the day. All
That
right.
will be the day.
That would be the day. But cool stuff, Shots. I think that is pretty good. Why
Yeah.
don't we take a quick little break and we'll come back with our main topic, and I think the real meat of this episode,
Oh
Clair
yeah,
Obscur Expedition 33.
for those who come after.
for those that come after. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Shots, it's time to dive in to our expedition. We continue for those who come after.
Yes, when
Uh
one falls.
when one falls, we continue. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. You know what? I should have
The
done some
goats.
some googling beforehand of like the developer and all that. I know it was made by Sandfall
Yeah.
Interactive, but let
A
me
lot of
just
ex Ubisoft employees.
yes, exactly. Sandfall Interactive, Sandfall SAS, made an Unreal Engine 5, published by Kepler Interactive. So
Mhm.
a lot of new names that I've like haven't really heard before. I think I've heard Kepler before,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you said, a lot of ex Ubisoft people. I think around like 30 or so that split off from Ubisoft 4 or 5 years ago to develop this game. Came out recently, so April 24th.
I was gonna say
So
a few months.
yeah, April, January, April, May. So 2 months ago, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, wow. What a showing from a studio, like having it be your first game, just like coming out, chest out. You know,
Right.
I try to keep it PG-13, so I try not to curse too much, but just popping. Uh I'm
Just
uh just
there's no
wow.
words.
There's no words.
Like you would think this is a AAA title
I mean,
created by people.
it feels that way.
It's just so this game gets glazed a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you know, you don't want to like add on to the glazing, but it kind of deserves it.
it really does. It really does. And for everybody out there, the first half of this conversation is going to be spoiler free. So we're just going to talk about mechanics and our opinion of the game. Halfway through, we'll give a really big spoiler warning. And that from that point on, we'll talk about like story and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So spoiler free for right now. Um, yeah, Shots. I want to dive in. Let me just. What's your overall opinion of this game, and where do you stand on it? Just general basis.
Honestly, Terry, this has probably been one of the games I've enjoyed the most in a long, hot minute. I don't think I have fully dove into a game with like as much gumption
Mhm.
since like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
And for those who don't know, Spider-Man is like that's my
it's your
boy.
boy.
That's my boy.
Absolutely.
He's
Mhm.
the goat. I love him. I was like jumping up and down when the game got released. This game, the same if not more.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. It's I love a good turn-based game.
Yes.
I'm super into Persona. I played a good amount of Final Fantasies.
Yep.
Pokemon, obviously. So when I saw the previews or like a preview trailer for this game, I thought the look of it looked so cool and looked so different. And then I saw the like some like clips of like the battles, like what it would look like in a battle, and just like the flare and like the particle effects and the lights going off on everything. I'm like, that looks so cool. So when I dived into it when it came out on Game Pass, I was playing like 3 or 4 games at the time. And I'm just like, playing anything and everything. But when I started this one up and when I got through the introduction and when you finally dive into like, the meat of the game, I'm like, I need to drop every other game that I'm
Everything.
playing right now. And I need to focus on this because this feels special. And Charles,
Yeah.
I don't want to glaze too much, but I think this game does have its faults, and we will get, and I think I
Yeah.
will get into some things about it that I think could be better. But overall, this has just been like such a refreshing like great time. Like I it's been a while since I've played a game that has given me this like feeling. The last one I think um that I can like remember off the top of my head being, God, I don't even know. Like it reminds me of like 2018 when I was finishing the first God of War and the first like not the first, the God of War 2018 and like Red Dead Redemption 2, like finishing those stories just left me like jaw open, like feelings in my heart. And like this, you know, the feeling all throughout the game, like from act one, act two,
Mhm.
from boom, boom, boom. There's just so many moments of like emotional heartbreak mixed with mixed with confidence to beat the odds, mixed with what the heck just happened, mixed with I don't even know what's going on anymore. um it's just such a roller coaster. And I want to recommend this game. I want to scream from the rooftops for everybody to play this game. But I'm really I'm diving into it too much. I want to what are some of your favorite aspects of this game, Shots? Is there anything that kind of sticks out to you the most?
Well, for me, like you were saying, like what got your attention? The first thing I noticed about this game was just the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is so beyond beautiful. The cutscenes specifically, the in-game cutscenes are really good too. Like don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
the music. The
Oh,
music is phenomenal. It's very reminiscent of Final Fantasy, Near,
yeah.
Stellar Blade, games
Yeah,
like
yeah, you're
that.
right. Mm-hmm.
Like it's just you can like literally you go into an area, the music changes, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you're like,
Grooving. And
ooh,
it could be, and it's so dynamic.
it is.
It's intense in a battle, but when there's like a heartfelt, like sorrowful scene, like the music can be so haunting.
Yes, a hundred
Shout out
percent.
the singer, like the main singer of this game. She really popped off.
They did that.
Hmm.
Um, I really enjoy the parry system
Yes.
as someone who likes Souls games and challenge. It's
Hmm.
what dodge button? What button?
Dodge button don't exist.
It does
Dodge
not
button.
exist.
We don't dodge. Mm-mm.
If they took it out, I wouldn't notice the difference.
I see. I say that. I say that. But towards the end, when like some of those attacks got kind of crazy, I dodged a little bit. I called
I
when one
dodged.
when one attack wipes my whole team. I started dodging a
I
little bit. I
started
ain't gonna
dodging. So I
lie.
started dodging.
So I started dodging. But no, the parry for days like that. It was so satisfying.
Especially when you like there's definitely some bosses that like wiped the floor with me, 4 or 5 times later, finally get the pattern down, and
Hmm.
you get all 3 or 4 hit strings in a row, and then you hit them with that counter attack, and you're like,
It feels
mm,
so good. It
feels
feels
so good.
so
And
good.
then
There's
you
nothing
immediately miss
like
the next one.
right. And then you immediately miss the next one because it's a new attack. And he's like, "Oh, you thought you've had me figured out." Psych.
You didn't even
Boom.
see this before.
Going off of that, there are some bosses just like that are it's so funny the way they fake you out sometimes. Like they'll come up to you and they'll do a move and it's like they'll like pretend to punch you and then like you'll flinch.
The
Like you're in high school.
gestuals,
Yeah, the gesturals, they'll like move their arm like they're about to hit you. You flinch a little bit, so you parry, and they're like, psych, gotcha. Bop.
I think you sent me a TikTok of that too. Like some
Mhm.
dude recreating that. It's like, huh?
Oh, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, dude, it's so funny. The game, like I, and it goes to show like the game is very aware of itself, kind of like how you were talking with Final Fantasy 14. They know that some people like being messed with, and that this
Yeah.
is it's funny without like trying without stating that it's funny. Like these bosses faking you out, and just like they know you're gonna flinch. They know you're
Mhm.
gonna mess up, but you learn it after time. You learn the patterns and all that. And once you get it down, like you said, yeah, it's so satisfying. But go on. I'm sorry, I was interrupting you.
Oh, you're good. That's pretty much what drew me in. It's just like
Hmm.
the music, the way it looked, and then the fact that you could just, yeah, it's turn based, but your turn don't come.
Right.
Like you
Right.
just parry everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
It feels so active too. Like you can't it's like I said, it's turn-based, but you can't relax. You can't put the controller down. You can't pick your option and say, all right,
Right.
cool, we're done. Because you pick your attack, and then even when you attack, there's a little like thing you have to hit at the right moment to get the maximum effect of your attack,
Mhm.
which I thought was pretty cool. And then again, there's the parrying, there's the dodging, and then there's more types of parries after that. There's
The
the
gradients.
the gradient parry. It's just it feels, again, it's turn-based, but it feels like an active game because there's just so many things that you have to like pay attention to, and it really keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Um, Shots, there were some battles where like even especially some of the chromatic fights. Um, chromatic enemies are like, they're base enemies, but they're just like the stronger versions of them. They're like
Yeah.
optional bosses throughout the world. Some of those I didn't do every single one, but some of them like definitely I was here for like 2 hours, 2 hours, just like figuring out the timing, figuring out the thing, and I would get him down to half health, and he would do one move that would wipe my whole team, and I'm just like, I can't put the controller down because if I give up now, I've lost all my momentum, and I
Yep.
won't I won't remember it tomorrow. So I got to do it now.
And like the thing with
Um,
like traditional like turn-based games is like you kind of scale with the enemies. So like,
mhm,
like you said, you interact, you're like involved in the fight still. Like normally you would get hit and it would do like, say you have 500 health, it would do like 30 damage to you. In this game, you could have 500 health and it'll do 1,000 damage to you still.
right, right.
So you better
Yeah,
dodge.
absolutely. Unless I went back to like the early areas where I know I'm stronger than the enemies.
Right.
As I was traveling forward, I never felt like I was like strong. Like the enemies either felt like we're on equal footing or they're just
Just
stronger than I
stronger.
was,
Yeah.
which made it feel which made this like harrowing expedition. This is not it's not a fun time for these people. It made it really feel like, oh, I'm in danger all the
Mhm.
time. I'm
It makes
always
you
there's always a challenge.
it makes you appreciative though from like in-game perspectives. Like this ragtag team really, their prowess really grows and you can see how much
Hmm.
stronger they're becoming because like you said, they're
Oh,
either
absolutely.
the same or just a little bit higher than you, and you
Mhm.
could really see the development of their skills, and I think that's really appreciative too.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you definitely, again, that means that you're on equal footing at most times, but you do feel like once you get the hang, because every team member plays so differently.
Right.
Like from Lune to Mael to, that's all I'll say for now. It's like two totally different battle styles. You got Mael with her stances,
Hmm.
Lune with her stains and gathering stains over time. So
Hmm.
it's just
Gustav
like
with the blicky.
Gustav with the blicky. Come on, the electric arm. Like
Iconic.
it's so cool once you learn like how they work and how they can work in conjunction with another.
Hmm.
What I was doing a lot, especially just during the beginning, I'll just talk about stuff at the beginning for now. Like Gustav, I had like a Picto or a Lumina on him, where if you took free aim shots, it would like most likely apply like burn to an enemy
Hmm.
and apply like a mark on them.
Yep.
And then Mael, she would, if she had used a certain attack, she would go into virtuose stance right off the bat because they're burning.
Yep.
And then she did extra damage to marked enemies. So it's just like being able to stack what you could do on top of each other. It's so
That
satisfying.
was
Like
my
a
bread
puzzle.
and butter for a long time.
Yeah, Maya.
Yeah, having Gustav or Lune burn them,
Hmm.
her go to that stance and get the mark and then hit him with the
Hmm.
giant sword that comes out of the ground.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, that was my bread and butter a lot during the beginning. It
hmm.
was it was so good. Um, yeah, yeah. Some favorites of mine, like some favorite aspects. Again, yeah, the art style is amazing.
Hmm.
Especially those cinematics. They feel so realistic. And again, this world, it's very. We'll get into it later, but it's very sad. It's very depressing. It's very, these people are losing loved ones like all the time. So
Hmm.
the cinematics, they feel so human. They feel so like, I don't know, it really touched my heartstrings. You can like the motion acting or
The
whatever, like
mocap.
is mocap, yeah, is really on point.
I was gonna
And
say,
it's
like, the expressions on their faces, like, just the
ah,
subtle, like, especially I've noticed, especially with Mael, like,
mm-hmm,
sometimes she'll be standing there just to the side or whatever, but she'll have like just this like look on her face to something that's
mm-hmm.
happening. And it's just like so detailed. It's just like
Yeah,
what?
and you can tell how they're feeling just from their face, and it's like and it's layered too, like, it's not just, "Oh, this character's sad, so she's frowning," but it's like you'll have, like, instances of just, like, something crazy just happened, and,
Mhm.
like, the characters are all in, like, shock, so they're just standing there not saying anything, but they're, like, saying things at the same time because you can tell, like, I can tell exactly how you're feeling because this mocap is so good because these cinematics are absolutely beautiful. Um, yeah, again, that's great. Art style's great. We touched on the music. I think the fights are just absolutely fantastic. I really like the one thing I really like. I like exploring around in the overworld, and it's really like you're in like a diorama of the world.
Yeah.
So it's like you're traveling around and there it's kind of like Final Fantasy, old Final Fantasy style. Like there are towns or something, or there's a village, but when you're in the overworld, it's really big to show you, oh, you can enter in from here. So, I think it's kind of hard for me to explain,
It kind
like
of
with the
reminds me
words.
of if you were to play Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah, yeah.
and like they
That's
had a
a great way
really
to put it.
nice board there. It's
That's a
kind
great way
of
to put it.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that aspect about it. And once you can like start really traveling around,
Mhm.
it really just opens up that feel. And then to piggyback off that, I loved like the scale of some of these fights. Like you can fight some like huge enemies, and you feel so small. And but once you like overcome that, it's just like the most satisfying feeling, dude.
It's not really a spoiler because it's like the first maybe like yeah, like the first area you're in, but you come across that giant Burgeon
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
and either Lune or Miles like, yeah, we don't mess with those. And then you
Uh huh.
literally proceed to mess with things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You never
Mm-hmm.
fight that one, but
You don't you don't fight that one, but there's an optional one, and I'm like, Lune just said we don't mess with that, or whoever. I'm gonna go mess with that.
yeah,
Definitely
it's gonna catch hands.
right. It took me a couple tries, but
Yeah.
it was satisfying.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, so good. Just like I don't know, man. It's I recommend this game to people who love JRPGs and turn-based battles and all that. But I recommend this game to maybe people who are more into like the active game or more into
Mhm.
like the Souls-like game because again, this is such a good blending of both of those things into one game. Uh, but we're glazing a lot shots. I think maybe we can
Yes.
get into like maybe some aspects of the game that we would want to see improved or
Yes.
maybe something we didn't enjoy. Do you have anything off the top of your head or would you want me to go first?
I yeah, I do. I definitely do. I think one of the things that immediately caught my attention was how jarring the movement is.
Mhm.
Like if you're standing here, right, you're facing north and you like spin around to go back the other way, your
Yeah,
character doesn't like just nicely turn. He'll just almost kind of, like just
sure.
completely spin around. Um, the parkour system is kind of frustrating.
I I I I wonder if that was an intentional choice. Like, hey, we're gonna make this super like janky because I mean it's it's janky sometimes in a fun way, but then sometimes it's
Yeah,
janky in a frustrating way. It's just
because
like,
like the one area, and you and I had talked about this once when we were playing something, the Gestural Beach
mm-hmm,
with the logs.
mm-hmm.
What?
That was the hardest boss for me, to be honest with you.
The parkour was the hardest boss, and it's just like I don't know. It is the margin for error is just like so small or
Yeah,
high. I don't know. But like if you like barely like if your toe hits the corner of the log, you're falling into the water. There's just
yeah.
no chance of recovery.
Mhm.
Um, honestly, like we glazed the combat a lot, but I think depending on your experience, like if you're a Soulsborne vet, if you just have good reaction time, I never really noticed it. I know you mentioned it to me that there's a lot of sound cues
Mhm.
for attacks. Maybe if I played with like my headset, I would have picked it up more. But for somebody that's like good at hearing that, I think the parries are overpowered.
Mhm.
I think it could diminish the um, challenge, basically trivialize the fights to an
Mhm.
extent because there's really no odds if you're just really good.
Sure.
Um, and again, that's hard. Like, how do you find that fine line, like of making it too easy or too hard? Like, do you
Mhm.
introduce maybe moves that can't be parried?
Right.
Like, you have to dodge it, or maybe you just take it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting because usually in some turn-based games that I've thought I've seen like unblockable attacks a lot. So
Mhm.
that is weird that there wasn't something like that in this game.
Maybe have like a skill check where like the boss just does 90% of your health and you have to get yourself back up or
Mhm.
something like that. Who
Sure.
knows? Um, I think the lack of a map hurt some areas.
That's one of my things, like, no having no mini map, especially towards, like, the end of the game when these levels become so sprawling,
Mhm.
really diminished, I mean, didn't diminish my experience fully, but it definitely put a damper on things. I'm like, "I don't know where I'm going anymore. I'm so turned around."
Exactly. There's some areas, and again, the level design is phenomenal. You know, like I think everything from an aesthetic point looks great,
Mhm.
but there are some points where you're like, okay, there's a left, a right, and I can go straight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go left. And it like loops back maybe to like a path, and then you get so turned around that you don't know which way you came from.
Yep.
And there's no traditional map that like say fills in as you explore it. So you can't be like, okay, I was here and I can go this way, then I'll go that way last.
Mhm.
Or like say you have no idea like is that the main path? If I go that way, is it gonna activate the cutscene or can I go this
Right.
way? And there's
Right.
been a few times where I wanted to explore everything before I went to the main area, but I accidentally my gamer sense was too good, so I went the
Mhm.
main way.
Mhm. Yep. He knew. He knew where the
I,
plot
I
was.
knew where the plot was. Yeah, definitely that. Like the combat could be trivialized a little too well if you're too good.
Mhm.
You get confused. The movement was a bit jarring. The parkour could use some refinement. Uh, I feel like, and again, you don't have to play this way, but you could make yourself very OP. I don't
Mhm.
know if you had this issue as much because I know at one point you just like finished the game,
Yeah.
but I did a lot of stuff on the side and I got to basically to the point where I had to nerf myself because I wanted to enjoy the last 10% of the game and not
Yeah.
just one shot things. I think it's very easy to do that in this game.
It is, and we were saying earlier that you're kind of on a level basis with enemies and for the most part, but like
Mhm.
there is a point in time where you level up so quickly in this game, and you gain pictos and luminas so quickly.
Yes.
That's one of my points I'll talk to after this. But yeah, you can level up
Mhm.
like fairly quickly on if you want to like level grind or even if you're just doing like, side stuff,
Yeah.
that is a big possibility.
Like if you're not over, like say you aren't OP, just like you said, with all the luminas and all the things you can get, you can make yourself overpowered.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
yeah, I don't know, and it depends. It's probably on purpose because I think this game is very self aware. They added a
Yeah.
lot of things, like a lot of Easter eggs or a lot of gags, this and
Mhm.
that, so you could just do what you want.
Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely for some people, like, there are people out there who wanna min max the crap out of themselves, so, like, they probably love that aspect of, like, "Oh, I'm so powerful that I can just parry something or one shot something," which is like, um which is understandable. Like if that's the
Mhm.
way you enjoy your games, that's the way you should enjoy your games. Like this game makes that possible. So yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention, I touched on it. Pictos and Luminas. I was gathering them so fast shots that I'm just like,
Mhm.
I'm so overwhelmed. There are so many Pictos.
There it is.
Uh and they're right.
There it
See,
is.
see, I got so overwhelmed that I'm just like, you know what? Everybody's gonna get these same pictos. Maybe there's a couple specifics here and there, but like, no, we're all getting the same. I'm not using anymore. That's it. I used a lot of the energizing ones that gave you extra like AP at the start.
Yeah, those
No,
are
and
really good.
those are great. The one that does extra damage on like counter attacking or something like that.
Yep.
Um, I just kind of gave those to everybody. I'm like, I can't focus on anymore. There are so many. And like, but again, that's there for people who want to min max, for people who like enjoy their games, like tailoring each character the way they want to tailor them, which is,
Mhm.
more power to you. Like that's the way you should do it, and this is there for you. Yeah, we touched on the map, the mini map. This game desperately needs a mini map.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like you said, when one path loops into the other and you're back towards that main area and you're like, I don't know which way I just came from. I don't know which way is going to advance the story. I just want to explore, but I don't know like which path I explored. It's not it's not impossible, but it would definitely better the experience if you kind of like knew where you were going.
Yeah.
And then
For sure.
my last thing that I wish the game did a little better was checkpointing. There were a couple spots where I would die to a like a not usually a boss, usually like a mini boss or an optional boss or something, or maybe a boss as well. But I would get pushed back so far away and I would have to run back all the way to the boss. And
Yeah,
you would think that like some games had this figured out by now. Like Elden Ring, if you die, you're back right outside the boss room, so you can just boom do the boss right again. Like you're not like waiting to like come back. And I also kind of wish that like if you die to a boss, instead of like respawning or whatever, there was just a try again option.
that'd be
You know,
nice.
I think that'd be really nice. Like speed up the encounters, speed up
This
the
game did
moments.
a lot of like cutscenes before bosses too, and then
Yeah.
you would have to watch that entire cutscene again.
You
But
could
you can
skip it
skip
though.
it. Yeah,
Right. But that definitely added like a couple more seconds of just like, all right, the cutscene's up, pull up the button, skip it, hold down the skip button so it fills up the bar. And
yep.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. If there was just a retry button that bam, you do it right off the bat, I think that would keep the momentum
I had
a little better.
this one optional boss on the overworld that I fought, and I had just collected like some weapons, some pictos. I had done a few like easy fights in the early area to get, you do 4 fights and unlocks the picto so you can equip the
Hmm.
Lumina. I did that. And then after that, I went and fought this boss and I lost. And Terry, it literally set me back before I collected everything.
Oh no.
So I had to recollect the pictos.
So you had to do 4 more fights real
I
quick?
had to do 4 more fights,
Ugh.
and then I had to go somewhere. I think I just went to camp and saved like
That's what I
manually.
that's what I started doing, like, before a big boss fight, I would go to camp, rest, come back, so there would be a save point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so annoying. Like you're telling me out of everything I did, it never at any point auto saved.
Mhm.
I also
That's the
wish go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. I wish there was a better fast travel on the world map.
I agree. Yep,
The fast
I agree.
travel in the zones, I think, is fine with the flags, and your the means of travel you get later on. It's good. It's fast.
Mhm.
I just wish I could like maybe jump from zone to zone, and also it kind of annoyed me too with the map. You couldn't set a waypoint.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
agree.
click on something and it'll mark it.
Mhm. The last means of travel you get definitely alleviate a lot of these problems, but before that, it's like if you need to get back to 3 zones earlier, you gotta leg it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is kind of annoying. With playing these games so early, shots like we're really always just playing like the worst versions of these games. Like they're gonna get patched, they're gonna get updated, they're gonna like quality of life improvements will probably come.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's always like, dang, I want to play this game so bad, but I know there are going to be updates and all this stuff later. So, but I mean, you know, it's still a great game on top of all these things.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I might be ready to dive into some spoilers.
Spoilers.
All right. Everybody, from this point forward, there will be heavy spoilers, story spoilers, just literally everything. Everything's on the table. So if this is where you dip out, I understand. Go play the game. It's an amazing game.
It deserves it.
Um, yes. Actually, please go into this game blind. Don't listen to the rest of this episode if you want to play it. Because it really deserves it. All the twists and turns. There are so many twists and turns.
You
Um,
legitimately would not see it coming.
no,
It's
not in
crazy.
like a million years. But yes, this is your spoiler warning. That's it. Uh Dunzo Bunzo. Shots. Let's start, I guess, at the beginning, right? This game opens up and it gives me really big like Final Fantasy X vibes. Are you familiar with 10 at all?
Yes and no. I've seen some of the characters. I never played that one, so I don't really
Mm,
know the story full
okay.
on.
No worries, no worries. The gist of like Final Fantasy X is like there's this big world-ending monster that lives in the world that everybody's familiar with. His name is Sin. And Sin always comes around and you know he's very destructive, he kills everybody, and then the main party, they take their journey to kill Sin. But like once you kill Sin, Sin's reborn. So he's always coming back. But like, you know, and that's what this game really like gives me the vibe of. So we start off in Lumiere. You
Mhm.
know, you're playing as Gustav, and you meet up with
The
his
goat.
love, the goat. Shout out Gustav,
Shout out
man.
Gustav. Such
Shout
a
out
good
Gustav.
character.
He is, dude. He is.
Lovable. Funny. So funny.
Lay so funny, layered. Like he feels like a real character, dude.
I will say it. I think he feels, not that they don't all, the
Mhm.
most human.
Yeah,
He
I agree.
has such a wide range of character development so quickly, so
Mhm.
hard that you really have to like try to not like him.
I agree. And he goes through so much, and you feel that. You really
Yes.
feel like, you know, the trauma and the everything about him, like every emotional aspect. Like you said, he develops so quickly. He has to develop very quickly for a reason. We'll get
Right.
we'll get there.
Ah!
we'll,
For those who come
we'll
after, for
get
those who
there.
come after. Uh,
For those that come after. But yeah, so we start off in Lumiere. He meets up with Sophie, his like ex love interest or current love interest. There's definitely
yeah,
something going on
they
there.
broke up.
They broke up, right? We do the whole intro sequence. I won't explain like everything that happens there, but then we finally get to the gamage, right? We finally figure out what they think the paintress is like actually doing. So there's a
That
big 30. Go ahead.
that scene, dude,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So
Just
haunting.
just them, Gustav and Sophie standing at the tip of the harbor, holding hands. They finally,
Hmm.
right at the end, they really kind of, you could almost say they got back together.
Yep.
And then you
Yep.
see the paintress stand up, wipes the number off, puts the new one. I don't know if you remember, but it's silent.
Hmm.
There's no music. You could almost hear the breeze in the background. And then everybody just, Thanos snapped.
What an opening to a game, dude. What a way to set the stakes of the world.
Incredible.
Incredible. It's so beautiful and sad and just like, you know, that number at that time you would assume that number has been counting down for a very long time.
Right.
So these people, they're used to it. This is a yearly occurrence for them, and that's such
Yeah.
a hard thing to think about. Like they lose loved ones every single year and there's
Mhm.
nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
Um
Like at
and
this
but again
point,
it yeah, but again, it's in such a beautiful way because like when they get Thanos snapped away, they turn into like flower petals and they just like
float away in the
fade
breeze.
float away in the breeze, dude. It's haunting.
And of
That's like the
it's
only
like
word.
Sophie's like of course, the last one to go. And,
Mhm.
again, you're like, this is what they know. This is what they're used to because this is going on for 67 years now. Everybody that's alive at this point, that's all they've known.
Mhm.
And it's pretty much stated the whole time you're traveling, going up to the harbor. She's ready. She knows what's happening. She's accepted it. But in those last moments, you can see in her face, because again, the mocap is just so crazy.
Mhm.
She does not want to go. Like,
Yeah.
she's just flooded with emotions and, like, I don't know if regret is the right word, but like hopeful wishfulness to like
Mhm.
stay. And she's just gone. And again, Gustav, the goat, is just heartbroken.
Yeah. He's like his last words to her, like they're looking each other's eyes, and he says, like, "I'm here." And she's like, "I know." And then just
And then gone.
and it's cool too because like again, as you're playing up until that moment, you're walking around as Sophie, and there are other people. They're all wearing like these flowers around their neck. Everybody who's about to gomage, and gomage is this game's way of saying like people who are about to fade away that year because their number is up. They're wearing the flowers around their neck. You could talk to a lot of different people, and you can see different ways of how they're dealing with it. So
Mhm.
there's one guy. I remember him. He's like hiding in a trash can, and
I
he's
actually
like,
didn't find him.
"You didn't find him? It's
No.
so fun. It's so funny. He's hiding in a trash can. He's like, if the painteress can't see me, I won't be gommaged away." So, um, and then there are people who are like, obviously, like they're not dealing with it well, or so on and so forth. And it's just different ways of dealing with this grief that you're about to die, and that's just like such a heavy thing to deal with.
Yeah, and again, this is again a testament to this game because this is literally the intro. You're not really into the meat of this game yet.
Hmm.
This is just to establish the lore, the principle, like the stakes, I guess, are the
Yeah.
word. Um, there's a handful of side quests that you can do in this area. And two of the ones that really stuck out to me just because of how depressing they were, if you really stood there and thought about it, is there's this one guy in like the market area. You talk to him and he's like, yeah, I got into a huge fight with my son because he wants to join the expedition team someday. And the expedition teams are like the ones that go to try to kill the paintress every year. Um, he's like, yeah, he wants to do that. And I don't want him to. I want him to enjoy his time. I want him to do something bigger for himself. And they ended up getting to a fight and not talking. And this is the day of their garage, so he's like not going to see him again. So he is talking to Sophie, and he's like, I created, because he's a seamster or something, like he sews. He's like, I created a custom expedition outfit for my son because I thought about it, and I think it is the right choice for him. I think he should, if he's really passionate about it, he should do it, blah blah blah. And he's like, will you give it to him if you see him? And she's like, well, yes, but I'm going to gamage today, but I'll make sure that Gustav gives it to him. So after everything happens, there's this little boy on the dock at the party, and you could talk to him and you can give him this outfit. And he's like, oh, dad, you blah, blah, blah. So dumb, but thank you. And he turns around and he ends up saying, you should have it. He gives it to you, and he's like, don't worry, I have my memories of my dad. He would want you to have this. And you get this really cool custom red outfit. It's the same
Hmm.
outfit as normal, but it's red. And that Gustav can wear, that this guy created for his son. And I think it was really touching that, in his final moments, he's like, yeah, we got in a fight. Yeah, we didn't talk. And we kind of ended on bad terms. But this is for you. So you can, like, have that motivation, remember me, and fight for our future. And I don't know, that just really stuck out to me. Um, and then the other one was like, you remember the main area where Lune is playing guitar?
Yeah.
there's this guy that basically gives you a little combat tutorial. He's painting,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to create a new piece before I gamage or whatever." Or maybe he wasn't even gamaging. I can't remember, but it's for the ballroom or something like auditorium to have like hung up. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, but I'm having writer's block. Can you like help me? And she's like, yeah, sure. How can we help you? It's like, I want you to the fight, like dodge each other's attacks, like you're having a dance, and I'll paint it. So you go, you fight as Gustav, and you fight Sophie, and
Mm-hmm.
she attacks you. And it's really funny. Like if you attack her, if you parry her, the guy in the background is like, "Don't fight your lover, dodge her, you idiot!" It's so funny.
That's funny. That's just like the 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 loving touches of this game to include like these scenes in the intro, something like that. It's
Yeah,
just there is a you brought up the Lune guitar playing, and like there's a side comment made, but it's just like it's I mean it's story right there. Like Sophie is talking about like, because Sophie's about to go maj, and she like mentions something to Gustav. She's like,
mhm.
"Oh, Lune over there, like maybe you deserve to be with somebody. Um, you know, you deserve to be with somebody because I'm about to go maj." And he's like, "Maybe you should be with Lune or something like that." And he's like, and then there's some comment made that like, oh, they were
Yeah,
already together at one point in
she
time.
alludes to that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just like, "What? That's story right there. Lune's about to be one of your companions for the whole game. That's crazy."
Uh-huh.
But it's just like these it's just how goes to show like how I don't even know the word for it.
It's just
I'm at a loss
heavy.
for words. It's heavy. It's the love that it just shows the love that has gone into this world.
And yeah, going back to that painting thing, like when you dodge 3 attacks in a row and it goes back, and this guy just he makes this beautiful piece of art of basically you and Sophie just like waltzing together. Like, he has
Um,
his hand behind his back, he has his hand extended, she's like grabbing it, and it looks like they're because they were, they people often say that depending on the fighting, it almost looks like a dance.
mhm,
And it was like this real like romantic, and you could see the like the passion in the picture. And
mhm,
it's like a painting in a game that looks like something you would see like in the Renaissance. And
mhm,
it's like, yeah, this we're gonna he literally says he's like, this is gonna be like blown up and like put into the opera house and like for future generations to see. And it's just like, what are we talking about here?
what are we talking about?
What you're about to hurt
Uh,
me, aren't you?
oh yeah,
And
oh
they
yeah.
do.
Things about to come crashing down.
They hurt
Uh,
you.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fast forwarding a bit to so we meet Sophie Gomages. We meet Mael. Mael is kind of like Gustav's little sister slash like he
Daughter.
and his older sister are looking after her because her parents like either died or abandoned her or something like that.
Make a
But yeah,
homage,
so
yeah.
big homage, right? So Mael is younger than Gustav. Like most people are going on expeditions are like the age of the number on the monolith, right?
Yeah,
Because they're like,
right
oh, we only
before
have
it.
one more year to live, so might as well make it worth it, right? So there's a funny line in here in the game shots where Gustav and Mael are talking. They're already on the continent. But Gustav's like, at one point in time, 33 was young. It's just like, man, oh, thanks, Gustav, man. You're
They,
making me feel better about myself.
yeah, we about to gamage next year, boy.
I'm
Same.
saying. But yeah, we meet Mael. We meet all the other expeditioners. They travel out into the continent. Trying to like fast forward a little bit because we can yap like so much about the introduction
There's so
itself.
much.
But they land on the continent shots and like World War III immediately
Immediately.
happens. We're introduced to Renoir. He's an older guy, so he looks
Yeah.
like he's at least in his like 60s or
60s.
70s, something like that. Yeah, 60s, right? And then the expeditioners are like you can only live until 33 at this point in time. So they're like,
We're
why
shook.
are you they're shook? Why are you so old? And instead of saying something,
He
he
just
immediately starts
cuts.
he cuts the guy's head
He cuts
off.
the guy's head off.
And oh my god! And then Nevron's, the
It's
game's main like
everything.
enemies, like the monsters and stuff, they pop out, they start killing everybody.
Things
Boom,
start
boom, boom.
exploding.
Things start exploding. It's madness. Like, and the expeditioners, they just touched down like onto the beach. So like,
You know,
what is happening?
shame on me because there's a comment one of the expeditioners make about like, see, I told you we'd fill up 3 tables this year and beat
Hmm.
Expedition 34. Like there's a lot of bodies, right? And I don't
Hmm.
expect every single person to be playable. I
Sure,
didn't expect 97% of them to die.
sure, sure.
You know? I was like, what? This is the worst timeline. What are we
and you
on?
and you learn some of their names. Like, they're not all nameless NPCs.
Oh,
Like,
you learn a lot of them.
you got to learn a lot of their names and stuff. Like, oh my god, run,
Like
run.
the
Nope.
ones that you would assume to be your teammates die.
Yeah, I assume like the brother would like be on our team.
Yeah, like
And
the first guy and girl, the ones that give you the wine in the beginning, basically.
mhm, mhm.
The head, Gustav's not even the captain.
Right, right.
There's somebody else who's the leader. He dies.
Mhm,
I think he's the one that gets
mhm.
beheaded. Actually,
Insane, insane. Talk about like setting the stakes immediately. Like, you are not in a friendly land. It is not going to go well for you. This is what you're dealing with. In addition to the Nevrons and the monsters, there's some older guy who you have no idea about, just whacking people's heads off. It's insane. And then one of my favorite scenes. It's kind of like sad that it's one of my favorite scenes, but it just shows that, like, the trauma. Like, Gustav survives somehow. He's walking away. He's just like, there's trauma on his face. He's in shock. He's like, there's blood all over him. And like, when you die on the continent, your body turns to stone, right? And he
yeah,
he walks into this cave, and there are just mountains and mountains of
bodies.
bodies, stone bodies, past expeditioners. And that's going to be a theme throughout like the whole game. Like, they're just like mountains and mountains of like past expeditions everywhere, showing the stakes of it all. But Gustav walks into this cave, and he sees one of, I think it was like the girl, one of the girls that he knew.
It was the main
Um,
girl, the that I mentioned with the wine in the beginning.
right, right. She's turned to stone, and I think she has like something through her chest.
Yeah,
Like, that's how
she's
she got killed,
stabbed.
stabbed, right? So he like sits next to her, and he's just, again, he's like expressionless, but like you can tell like he's in shock. So he like pulls out his gun, and he holds it to his head, and he's like about to off himself. And I'm just like, man, I understand.
I
Like,
get
this
it.
is, I get it.
I
The
get it.
craziest stuff happened. But then shout out my girl
Shout out
Lune,
Lune.
who like appears right next to him. Like, the camera pans out, and she's like sitting down next to him, as if like he didn't hear her coming, because of just like how in shock he is. And she's basically like, you're really gonna go out like this, like like stone cold. Like, she's like such a, thinks in such a logical way. Like, there's
Mhm.
like, she's not a very emotional character. Well, she shows emotions, but like, she's like, really, you're gonna go out like this? We have a job to do. And she
Right.
just like pulls Gustav back from like the brink of, almost about to kill himself, and like really sets his mind in order. And I'm just like, shout out Lune, dude.
She
Like,
really
you are.
kept Gustav in check.
Kept like a lot of the team in check too. Like Mael later on, when something eventually happens, which
Right.
I think we're gonna get to. But yeah, the characters in this game, they're just they feel so real, and they make the world feel so real because of how they react to it, because of how the world changes them and their thinking. Because like I said, Lune, she's presented as this very logical woman. She knows her job, she knows her mission. She wants to complete her mission. She's very science minded. She wants to complete her parents' research. So that's how she thinks. But,
Mhm.
as the game carries on, and you can do like her companion missions, like that facade kind of like wears down a little bit, and you really get to like know how she feels underneath all that.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
There before I forget, when towards the end of the game when I was exploring all the places I haven't been, I actually went you that is a place you can go to back towards Lumiere
Mhm.
and basically where that beginning sequence happens where everybody gets killed. You can go to that area And Terry, when I tell you this is a end game level area,
Mhm,
like it has the same Nevrons, like the hand looking things with the sheets over them.
mhm.
Like I was like level 80 or 70 at this point, and I still was struggling with them. I was like, no wonder why everybody died. This
Right.
is they were not ready for this place.
We're level, like, 1, and they
We
got
are
these level
level
90 guys on us.
like no wonder why everybody got demolished. There was no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, dude, it's and they look so unique too, like, the Nevron designs, like, the enemy designs in this game look so cool and so disturbing sometimes too,
Yeah.
like,
Did
kinda
you,
kinda
and
nasty.
you I don't know how much side content you did, but do you know like the lore behind the Nevrons? Like what they are?
Yeah, yeah, so Clair created them,
Yeah.
right?
They're
Um,
doodles.
they're doodles of, um, Annalise and Verso's older sister, I believe? Like, Claire's the oldest, I think?
Clay is the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doodles, yeah, learning that was like, wow, that's
Like they're
crazy.
not like Verso didn't make them, Aline didn't
Mhm.
make them. They're just things that she did.
Yeah.
Um, did you do the Flying Manor at all?
I didn't do the flying manor, but I watched a video on it.
Yeah. So you go
Yeah.
in there and like you find the painted Clea,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh, it looks like the real Clea painted over her because she was so like, disgusted by what her mother created. And
Mhm.
then she Clea basically forces herself to just create Nevrons.
Mhm.
And then you fight her and you win, and then she snaps out of it for a split second and she literally nukes herself.
Yep. It's insane. We're driving lore. Let's fast forward and, like, 'cause I really wanna get to that, like, the painted family and all that.
Yeah.
So we
Should
meet
we
up with
talk about
Mael.
Gustav?
Yeah, let's talk about Gustav. Let's just fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
Um, at the end of Act 1,
Yeah.
so we meet up with Esquier, shout out Esquier, the
We
flying boy. Whee! The the
Woo!
the pure joy, of
Mon
radiant
ami.
light in this game. Mon
Love
ami.
him.
He's great. But yeah, so at the end of Act 1, Renoir shows up again, the older guy who's kinda still mysterious at this point, legit just kills Gustav.
Yeah, shoots him in the back, and then
Because
it because everyone jumps off the cliff to get on top of SKA, and like
mhm.
Mael and Gustav have this nice sweet moment, and
Uh-huh.
then here comes, and just
Ah.
you as the audience seeing it and them being unaware, it's just you're just like, turn around,
Turn
please,
around!
just turn around, please, and then he just absolutely, and then Gustav's just like, no, this is it, I'm done, Mael, you get away, and then you fight him,
Uh-huh, yeah, shout out Gustav for, like, for those that come after, and you turn around and
and
you
you
get into, like, a
fight
fight
him.
with him. Yep.
It is
Ah,
absolutely insane, and it's a losing battle. Like you go
mhm,
like 4 turns in a row, and you just absolutely pop off, and it
yeah.
just means nothing, and then he dies.
And, shout out this game because I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Oh, this is the main character, like, he's gonna come back." Um, no, he's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. He's
They killed
actually
the
dead.
main character.
Uh-huh, and it's so brave, and I kinda respect them more for, like, leaving him dead. Just
Yeah,
commit to the bit, and, it's insane. It's
and
kind of
then
insane.
enter the goat part two.
Yes. Enter Verso, voiced by Ben Starr.
Ben Starr, Daddy. I love
Mhm.
that guy.
Mr. Clive himself.
Yeah, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, so, fast forwarding a bit from there, we find CL as well, just getting through the lore and the story bits. We find out that this Verso, Renoir, the one we've been fighting, that Annalise, the Mael lookalike with the white hair,
Alicia.
are all
Yeah.
Alicia, sorry, Annalise is the mom, right?
No, Aline.
Aline, jeez, too many names.
Too many A's. Too many A's.
Too many A's. Alicia, they're all painted versions from the paintress herself, And the paintress herself is, um say it for me again, the mom's name?
Aline, and
Aline
she's like, you learn that the whole world you're in is a canvas picture painted.
is a painted canvas picture painting from the real life Verso who died in a fire. So this was his like childhood canvas. And basically the painters, the people who can make this canvas are they're the real life people who have the power to create these worlds. And this was Verso's world.
Right,
And in real life, he had the real life Renoir, the real life mom, the real life Alicia, and the real life Clea.
right,
So we find out that Verso died in a fire, right? Saving Alicia. And
right.
Alicia was very scarred. She was physically scarred by it and mentally scarred. She kind
Hmm.
of like lost her voice. She's like her face is like damaged from the
She's missing
fire,
an eye, I think. It's
missing an
crazy.
eye. It's crazy. So and then this game is really kind of all about how the family deals with that trauma,
With
right?
grief,
With
trauma.
grief. So Clea takes it out in anger. So the people who started this fire, they're called the Riders. So it's like
Right.
the Riders versus the Painters. So Clea goes out on a war. She starts to like go and like kill all these like Riders. Um, the mom's name again?
Aline.
Aline. Why can't I get that? Uh,
Lean.
the re- the real life Aline goes into Verso's painting because she can't deal with the loss of her son, right?
Yeah.
And she becomes. So this is kind of like where had to do a lot of research online shots. So Aline goes into this painting, and does she? I don't know if humans existed in this world before Aline got there.
Okay. So I could actually explain it basically.
Yeah.
So this is Verso's canvas, like he painted,
Right.
and one of the biggest reveals is like that a part of his soul is still like in the painting because
Hmm.
it was like his lively work, or whatever. So Aline goes into the painting and you don't see it, but like there's talks and stuff that basically the world was pretty normal.
Hmm.
Like there was just the gestrels, the what are they called? The
Oh yeah,
gra-
the people on the people like the giants, right? And
yeah, the
you don't see them like they're like pretty quick.
grandis,
Yeah,
something like that. So it
the
was
ice
them,
giants or something like that.
and then Aline creates humanity.
Mhm,
I believe she paints the humans, and then
mhm.
everything is chill. And then Renoir goes in because Aline is just grief stricken and she's just like holding on to ghosts or whatever.
Yeah, because
And
in real life, when she's like in real life, when you go into a painting, your body stays in the real world, but
yeah,
you're kinda like in this like stasis, right? You're like,
yeah,
in a coma, and if you stay in the world for too long, it really messes with your real life body, right?
I think it's like if you expend too much of your power or something like
Yeah,
that, it like kills you basically. And
mhm.
like she's
So
doing all this and it's killing her.
right. So
And
Renoir goes in there to chase after her and try and get her out, right?
right. And they end up having a huge fight. And their initial fight is actually what caused the fracture,
Right.
which is what causes the Lumiere that you start off to like get flung away from the main body.
Flung into the sea,
It's
right?
what separates like all the gestrels. They go flying everywhere and this that. And I think it's the reason too why the Eiffel Tower looks the way it does.
Mhm,
A bunch of stuff happens, and
mhm.
then I don't think you mentioned it, but Renoir is actually the curator,
Right, yep.
and you
So
meet
the
him in that manner.
yeah, and the curator, like, you meet him really early on in the beginning, and he serves as he upgrades your, like, your weapons for you. He, gives you better stats. He's kinda like the person you keep going back to for upgrades and stuff, and
Hmm.
the curator and the painters later on, they're presented as these, like, ghostly beings that, like, don't
No
have a
face.
face, no face and stuff like that, so, he looks pretty jarring, and then, we find out later on that that's the real life Renoir, you
Hmm.
know, traveling along with you so you could infiltrate. Um, you know, whatever. We'll get to that part. We'll get to that part.
Yeah, and it's just yeah, it's just crazy because like you said, Clea, she's off fighting the writers,
Hmm.
and there's a few bits of things to say that she's like the strongest.
Hmm.
Like apparently she's like the prodigy, you know, and Alicia is actually like kind of the weakest out of all of them.
Hmm.
And it's crazy too because like you know you fight the paintress and she's strong. So the fact
Hmm.
that Clea is even stronger than that, it's just
Right.
like
Slow down. Glad I'm not fighting you.
right. And
Absolutely.
it's just oh man, I don't even know if you have like your next point. It's just so crazy, like all the lore behind the family and
Yeah.
the effect that they're having on this world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so like after that, after the fracture, I believe what happens, and again, like this is all me Googling and trying to like figure things out. So, if I'm wrong, deal with it. So, the Renoir is trying to get Aline out of the painting. And if you like defeat or kill another painter, paintress in a painting, they're kicked out.
Yeah.
So Aline, the paintress, traps Renoir underneath the like the monument.
Yeah,
Uh
the monolith.
underneath the monolith, right? Renoir, and then the expedition. Renoir is getting rid of Aline's oldest paintings.
Yeah, so you learn that he's actually causing the gamages.
Renoir is causing the gamages, and Aline, or the paintress, counting down
It's
isn't actually
protecting.
yeah, it's not a death sentence. It's like telling them, hey, you have one more year left to live. Enjoy it. And as that year counts down, Renoir gets rid of so he's getting rid of like the oldest paintings. And Renoir eventually escapes that imprisonment. And then you what's the next story beat? Aline painted family. Um, you find out the story through all them. And what would be the next story beat after that? I guess, you defeat the paintress, Aline's kicked out, and then once Aline is kicked out, like the paintress, like you did it. You beat the paintress. Everybody goes back to the continent. We're celebrating, no more gomages. And then boom,
Everybody
literally
gets gamaged.
literally everybody gets gamaged. And then you find out the truth. Mael is actually Alicia from the real world, but when she entered into the painting, because Clea sent her in there to get mom and dad out, or to get mom out and to help dad.
Yeah.
Um, Alicia, like she got entrapped by the paintress's like chroma, so
Yeah, so
she got
strong.
reborn. Yeah, she got reborn as Mael, and that's a really big plot point right there. So she grew up in this painting as Mael because time works a little differently when you're inside the
Yeah,
canvases.
years are like minutes,
Right,
basically.
exactly. Hmm. So Alicia from the real world, who was sent on this mission, she got reborn as Mael. She lived 17 years as Mael inside this world. So she has once um Renoir gomages everybody, Alicia kind of like regains her memories. And she remembers, oh, I'm from the real world, but I also grew up as Mael, so I have this like this attachment to both worlds.
Mhm.
She remembers her grief from Verso and like what all that meant, and she realizes, oh, this is a painted world. So you figure out that um Renoir is trying to destroy the painting, right?
Mhm. 'Cause he thinks
So,
it's unhealthy for everybody.
and you know what? In a sense, I started to figure this out, Shots. I'm like, I kind of get it. Like, it sucks, but like, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for a lean. And again, I'm this game does this so well. It's like this is a painted world. These aren't real people, but at the same time, like these are people. Like they have real emotions. They've gone through real love, real turmoil, real loss. And then
Mhm.
on the other side, it's like this is a painted world, and these aren't like real people. And I think that
Yeah.
that ties into like the ending and like the two choices you can make, right?
I think the two, this game does a really good job of flipping who you think the villain is.
Yes,
So like
yes.
you think it's the paintress,
Mm-hmm.
then it's revealed to be the curator,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of almost flips back to the paintress again because she's just like hyperly obsessed with the idea of keeping her dead son alive.
Of holding on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, it's like, but you could understand everyone's point of view, from the paintresses and Aline's side. It's like she lost her son, and this is her way of grieving. She's holding on to the
Mhm.
last like remnant of him, which like, is unhealthy, sure, but it's like I understand why you're doing it. It's not
Right.
evil. And with Renoir, it's like you want to get your wife out of the painting so you can like, and you want your family back. So you're just like, destroy the world, destroy this, like, because it's unhealthy. And it's like, yeah, it's not good. It's evil to like the people inside the painting, but like I get it. And then at the end, well, we'll get to the end, but like I understand both sides in the end. So yeah, so the mission changes to defeating Renoir, right?
Mhm.
Um, so let's fast forward a little bit. Boom, we defeat Renoir. And then Mael talks to Renoir at the end, or Alicia, the real life Alicia. She talks to Renoir at the end, and Renoir basically agrees, all right, I won't destroy the painting. I'll trust you and kind of like whatever decision you make, right?
Mhm. And
And
Mael is straight up lying.
Mael is straight up lying. So she tells Renoir, she's like, what does she say? She's like, I'll be responsible. I won't be here
I
for
won't stay
forever.
forever, just a couple
I,
years, which would be
yeah,
like a minute or two in the real world or something.
e- exactly. Yeah, straight up lying.
And he knows.
So right,
And
right.
I think that's another thing too. Like he went through these 67 years of fighting with his wife just to
Hmm.
watch his daughter do the same thing.
Yep, just to watch the cycle repeat.
And they allude to that Alicia is Renoir's favorite.
Right, right.
So like imagine losing your wife to grief and then watching your daughter spiral down the same rabbit hole.
Hmm. It's insane.
It is.
So we're at the end, and we're presented with two options, right? So Verso, the painted Verso, who still has all the memories of the real life Verso.
Pretty
He's
much, yeah.
struggling. He struggles a lot with these conflicted like feelings because he knows the truth. He knows exactly like what's going on in this world and all that. At the end, you're presented with two choices basically, and there's a lot more, lore and implications to this. I'm not going to be able to get we're not going to be able to get into everything, but Verso is basically just like, we need to put an end to this.
Hmm.
Mael slash Alicia, you need to leave this world. It's not good for you. You need to let go of, Verso, of this painting, and go deal with your grief in real life. And he's basically like, I'm tired. I'm tired of my immortality. And then the real life Verso, like the soul of Verso, who's like, actively painting this canvas, and you see him and you talk to him, and painted Verso is talking to the soul of little Verso, and then little Verso's like, I'm tired of painting this canvas. I want to be put to rest. I don't want to do this anymore.
Hmm.
So our goat Verso is just like, I'm saying Verso so many times, and it's like, which one am I talking about?
Receiver so Versailles.
Right. Versailles painted Verso is just like, let's put this to an end. Let's, erase this canvas. And then Alicia slash Mael is like, I don't want to do that. I want to, live in this canvas. I want to, be with my brother. She's like, she feels so bad about her grief and like what happened. She's being the paintress all over again.
And she thinks she doesn't have a life outside because of everything that happened to her. She's like, nobody's
Correct.
gonna love me. Nobody's gonna want to marry me. I can't speak. I'm in pain.
Hmm.
I don't have a life outside anymore. I'm just a
Yeah.
walking body, basically.
Ex- exactly. So you're presented with these two options, and the options are, and it hits you so quickly too. It's either just fight as Verso or fight as Mael,
Dude,
and you're just like,
when it presented with me that I literally I paused. I was just like, "What?
what?
What do you
What do you
mean?
mean?
Don't
Oh, I
do
don't
this
want
to
to.
me." There was a real
Oh,
funny question I remember I asked you. I was like, "Who do you think the main character in the game is,
uh,
Mael or Verso?" And you say to me, "I want you to get to the end of the game, and then let me know what you think of that question again."
uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the two choices: fight as Mael, fight as Verso, and all I could think of is, "Damn it, Terry!
Don't why'd you
Ugh,
make me think? Why'd you make
why'd you
me
make me
think?
think?"
Yeah, dude. And it's like you don't feel good about either of them, but
Right.
looking at it with looking at it after seeing both choices and how they end, the best choice in my opinion, and I think you agreed with me already, is fighting as Verso definitely feels like the canon ending and how things should be. And it doesn't feel good. Don't get me
No,
wrong. Like neither option feels good. So, fighting as Verso at the end, you beat Mael, you force her back into the real world to like, deal with her grief. I think how you should deal with your grief, like head on.
in
You can't
reality.
live in reality, right? So once you beat Mael, everybody starts to go maj again. So CL, the other main character, I don't think we brought her up yet. She
No,
walks
we didn't
out of
talk about
the
her at all.
she's such a good character, she's very emotionally mature and
That
she
was
understands.
a side tangent. Like a lot of the themes of this game are logic and emotion, and I think
Mhm.
the two main female characters represent that really well. Like you
Yeah.
said earlier, Lune, she's so logical and she's centered in reality. But then you have CL, and she is like so emotionally intelligent.
Mhm.
Like out of everybody, she understood Verso the best.
Absolutely.
Like, there's two like romance options, and I think the one between her and Verso and CL, like it was just a fling or whatever.
Mhm.
But I kind of felt like there was some truth behind it, especially with like that ending scene. She walks into the canvas and she just kind of like embraces Verso one last time,
Mhm.
and you can kind of see that like connection that they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Like,
then
and
like it's
it's like
crazy.
she understood, like, why he did what he did.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that Verso is just kind of like a snake because he never really told the truth the entire time. He was selfish. You could say the same argument is presented for Verso and Mael,
Mhm.
but he never really was truthful. He hid his real intent. All he wanted to do was end his own suffering.
Mhm.
Maybe. Yes and no, his and Mael's. And then you have Lune, who is sitting outside of the painting, just absolutely giving him a death stare.
Mhm.
It's
It's
like,
like,
you
"You lied to
betrayed
me
me
again."
twice now.
Yeah. And it hits. It stabbed me in the heart, dude. Like,
Mm.
having Lune just, like, stare you down again. Ah.
I saw this one thing that really made me stop and think too. In the beginning of the game, I think to Gustav, she says, "As long as there is one of us standing, our fight is not over." And then fast forward to the end when she's just glaring at him, she sits down,
Mhm.
signifying that she gives up. Like there's no one left to stand and fight. It's over.
Yep. Dude, it hits so hard. And it sucks too because, again, they're not real. Like,
Right.
these people in the painted world are living in a canvas, but they're still real people. Verso has this one line, I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think he's talking to, um, Alicia, like, when she awakens or something, and he's basically just like, "You painters are always just playing with, like, lives and playing and using your powers and, like, affecting everyone around you." And it's
Yeah.
true, like, Aline, she created humanity in this world, and just because they're, fake people or painted people doesn't mean that they don't feel real things, doesn't mean that, like, this isn't their world. And I mean, all the way up until, act 2, you believe that this is the real world. Like,
This is the world. Yeah.
this is the world. This is this is what exists, right? And yeah, it's just like these people are playing with their godlike powers and affecting these people. It's terrible, and it's terrible, and it's like, what's the right choice at the end, right? To let everything just burn away for the good of like Verso's soul, for the good of Alicia, or would it be Alicia's option if you chose Alicia's ending, Mael's ending? You know, she stays in the painting. She lets Verso like age, so she takes away his immortality, what kind of what he wanted. But you know, he walks up. They everybody's back, right? She brings everybody back. Gustav comes back, Sophie comes back, CL's husband, and they all. You looked up this ending, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
actually was able to go back and play it, so I like played
Oh,
it,
nice,
and whew,
nice. It's depressing,
it
right?
is. I think it's sadder.
It is sadder. So they're all gathered in this like music hall, and Verso, you know, he alluded earlier that he played the piano and he would play it for Mael one day. He walks up onto stage onto this piano, and he just has this look on his face, like he is just
Why
like,
am I
"De-
here?
why am I here? I'm depressed." He looks older though, so like you can tell
He
he's
did,
aging. So I think the story there was Mael granted that to him, like the ability to age. Um, so he's playing the piano, and then you get this flash of Mael, and then you get this flash of like the paint around her eyes. And
mhm,
then like what that is, you know, to our listeners, when you're outside the painting and like when you throw your body into the painting in real life, if you're like in there for too long or something like that, paint starts to develop around your eyes, so it shows like the physical effects that your real life body is having. So Verso can sense that Mael slash Alicia, like she's been in here for too long, like it's starting to actually affect her now.
and she's using, like, her powers too much too, and I
Hmm.
had mentioned earlier, she's, like, the weakest paintress out of everybody, so she's, like, because you said she brought Sophie, Gustav, CL's husband, plus everybody who I think at the bare minimum, everyone who gamaged from 34 to 33.
Right.
Maybe not all the other expeditions, but at
At
least
least those ones.
those. And who knows if she like fixed Lumiere and all that because you're not really shown all that. But
Hmm.
she's doing all this. That's got to be a crazy strain on
Yeah.
her as the supposed weakest paintress.
Hmm.
And like you said, like he again, he's tired. He doesn't want to be there. He just wanted to die in general. He didn't want to
Hmm.
grow old and die. He just wanted to be done with it.
Right.
And he looks at her and he sees the strain of the power on her face, and she's just sitting there with almost this like contempt smile. And
Hmm.
like I've seen some theories saying that she kind of forced him to play the piano, like he didn't want to do that, and she used her powers on him. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
And it's just almost kind of dark, like she lost the plot. She's
Yeah.
selfish. She did this for herself. And I had mentioned earlier, Renoir knew that and Verso even says it to uh, Alicia when they're in the painting. We knew you were lying. You just said that to say it. Um,
Hmm.
and as soon as you die in here, Renoir is going to destroy the canvas anyway. So what are you really accomplishing besides throwing your life away?
Right.
So
Exactly.
again, it sucks because these are not real people. They're not real lives, but they're people who a lot of people sympathize because those are the real stakes. People will say like, I don't know the Desandre family. I have no stakes with them and their BS. These are
Hmm.
the people I care about. So I'm going to pick my L's ending because it brings them back, and that's what I care about more. But then that's the emotional side, but then you have the logical side, which is they aren't real people. They're not. There is a real world,
Hmm.
and like maybe those people exist in that world but not here.
Right.
And Mael, Alicia, and Aline are being selfish. They're holding on to ghosts, and
Hmm.
they're hiding away from their grief, and they're not recovering. And Verso, people will say that he was selfish and all he cared about is him. I believe he did care about his sister, you know, because that's just the kind of person Verso is. You know, he
Yeah.
cares about his family very deeply. Like it was a two birds, one stone. Like, yeah, he's getting what he wanted, but he's also looking out for his little sister to make sure she lives the life that she deserves.
Yeah, because he even with his painted sister, he was so, like, upset when, Maya, like, the real life Alicia, granted her her wish and, like, homaged her away.
That's what led
You
to
know,
that conversation you brought up about the painted
mhm.
powers.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you're right, you're right. And he's like, he knew she was painted and, she didn't wanna be around anymore, but he's like, "You didn't even give me a chance to say goodbye." So, I mean, that just goes to show, like you said, he really cares about his family, and I know he cares about the real life Alicia as well. That's why he's like, his ending, he kicks her out, and it's not like I don't have the quotes right off the bat, but like he does it in a caring way. He's like,
Mhm.
you need this is for your own good. This is you need to leave. You need to deal with the real life you. Like he's like you're such a powerful painter. Like you're gonna do so many good things out there.
Mhm. And even like when she's dying in the game, he
Mhm,
it's really funny because like the same thing kind of happens reversed when you play as Alicia. Um, so, I don't know, something happens that causes Alicia to turn around and look, and then Verso falls over, and then like she rushes over and kind of consoles him, but not
mhm,
really. He's like, "Please, uh, let me stop me." Something he begging, absolutely pleading with her, and then she's like, "Nope." And
yep,
then in the reverse, Verso defeats Alicia, and then she goes to like pass out, and he catches her, right? And then
mhm,
he cradles her in her arm, and she starts to gamage and like get kicked out of the canvas. And the entire time, he is like, shh, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's all right. I am here for you. You're going to be okay.
mhm,
And in those final moments, like he could have said anything, but he chose to show kindness and
yeah.
respect and reassurance. And to me, that kind of spoke a lot about his character.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoke about his character and like he knew kind of what had to be done.
Hmm.
And it's not the answer you want. Again, like you said earlier, we care about these people. We don't know the Desandre family. So like we're like, I only care about these people. I want to live in this world, but like thinking that way, that's the way Mael or slash Alicia was thinking. And Verso, he has the maturity, or maybe it's just like, all the years he's been alive and he knows
Mm.
what's actually happening.
Yeah, because
Um,
exactly in the beginning, he wanted the same thing. He wanted to
mhm,
bring everybody back. He wanted to stop and figure out and this and that. But like with
yeah.
that maturity and like or just years of thinking, he realized what's actually the best, and it's not this broken family's BS.
Mhm. Yeah, so at the end of Verso's ending, which I'm gonna, like, consider the canon ending and the better of the 2 at least, we see, the Descendé family, so Renoir, Aline, Clea, and Alicia standing over Verso's casket, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it finally seemed like, okay, they're confronting their grief head on as a family, kinda like as it should be,
Hmm.
with the understanding that everybody in the canvas, gomaged away. The canvas is destroyed, and it's
Last
sad.
piece of Verso's gone.
Yeah, the last piece of Versos finally put to rest, and it's this game made me feel so many things, Shots, and I think when a game ends and I feel both satisfied, but I also feel like, oh, I have so many more questions. I think that's the sign of a really good game.
Oh
No,
my god, yeah.
absolutely. It was a great time. Um, I don't even know. Like there are so many other things, like smaller things I could like get into here and there, just like Monoko, the painted Monoko being like the real
The
life
dog.
Monoko is a dog, and then Versal's like, oh, you're my best friend in real life as a dog. I'm gonna make you my best friend in the painting as Monoko, and then the SKA plushie that Alicia is holding at the end over Versal's casket, and it just all these little things that we could get into, but I mean,
Yeah,
we'd be here for 5 hours, but
I know. I think It's just crazy. It's just like so much lore, so many little side things, like so much optional quests in the world that like flesh out the story more. Like I mentioned earlier, the Flying Manor,
Mhm.
uh, the Endless Tower. Um, it's just crazy. Did you like look up into the Endless Tower at all?
I only heard about it. I don't even know what it is.
It's basically a boss rush. You go in
Uh-huh.
and you go up to this canvas and you do 11 rounds of three, and it adds up to
Mhm.
33 fights. And in the corner is, and she appears twice, and it didn't click until I looked it up. Um, a ghostly figure, and it's Clea.
Oh, cool.
And she's like, "Sup, sis? How you doing? Here's something that I don't think you could handle, but if you beat it, I'll give you a prize or whatever type thing."
Mhm.
Like she's goading her sister into distracting herself, basically. So you go through a boss gauntlet and you fight all these different bosses, chromatics and like past bosses. And by the end of it, the last fight you fight is called the Painted Lovers, and you literally
Aw.
fight the paintress and the curator at the same time.
That's cool.
And it is. And so you finally defeat everybody. And Clay is like, you know what, Alicia, you've grown a lot stronger since I last saw you. I'm really proud of you. And she basically is speaking to her sister, and she says, you know, we shouldn't get brought into our parents' BS and their squabbles and like their selfish things. You should do what you think is fun and enjoy and find your own path in life. And she's like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing right now, do something else.
Mhm.
And then she gives you whatever. I think it's like either an outfit or hair or whatever. And apparently, the other time you find her is like right after Gustav dies, where you're in the Sword Valley. I think you talk to a ghost figure, and that was her.
Mhm.
I don't
Oh, huh.
remember exactly what the conversation was, but it was just like a really cool moment from like actual Clea to Alicia,
Mhm.
and also the revelation that all those little ghost boys were just Verso, like
Mhm.
his remorse and regrets
Mhm.
throughout the entire game. When that clicked at the end, I was like, shut up.
I was like, "Dang it, dang it, dang it."
All
Yup.
these random people, this was Verso the whole time.
Yep, and that's cool too, just, like, things that are happening at the beginning that you have no clue what they are, and then at the end, you're like, "Oh my god, all these things make sense now."
Hmm.
It's just it's so cool to think about. There was a theory that, like, the Nevrons that can talk and, like, are, like, early paintings of Clea's that, like, before they were monsters, she was, like, actually, like, doodling like, you counted the Nevrons that talk, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually
Yeah.
finished that quest line too.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, I mean, you might know more about it than I do,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you find all those the white ones and you like do
mm,
their little quests or whatever. And then eventually when you unlock flying with SK, there's like this little area you can go in, and there's
mhm,
just a final white Nevron, and he basically explains that they were created to keep all their other kind in track,
okay.
more or less. So like but they were too self-aware and they didn't want to kill just for the sake of uh keeping their duty or whatever or something like that.
Mhm,
Like they thought everybody deserved the chance to live and do their thing, so they ended up just secluding themselves as outcasts,
mm,
kind of like that. It's weird. I'm phrasing because I don't remember exactly, but
sure, sure.
yeah, they're basically like they were failures more or less, but
Mhm,
it's just crazy. Um, and again, like the fact that what leading into one of the last things I wanted to bring up, that real life Clea forced painted Clea to just mass produce all these Nevrons just for the
mhm,
sake of being petty is just
mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, well, she was trying to like the Nevrons when they kill people, their chroma is like trapped inside them, right? So it doesn't
Right.
return to a lean. So like that
Right.
was like her goal. But yeah, like just that's a crazy thing to do, like the painted version of yourself.
Yeah, and like yeah, Clea was helping Renoir because Aline is at least it's weird because it doesn't see with the logic of video games, Renoir is the last boss, so you would assume
Hmm.
he's stronger than Aline. But I guess in actuality, Aline is stronger because he needed
Hmm.
Clea's help to subdue
Right.
her.
Well, Aline like taught Renoir how to paint, so she was like
Right.
his teacher, right?
Hmm.
So yeah. Hmm.
Um, but one of the things that I so this probably won't surprise you, but I did everything in the game.
Sure.
I unlocked every achievement. I found all the journals. I did all the side quests or whatever. Um, and one of the last journals I found was journals from Expedition Zero.
Hmm.
And a few times they allude to Verso's first girlfriend,
Hmm.
Julie, and you actually find uh, a recording of hers.
Hmm.
And in that recording, she's talking about how Verso died. She's like, I saw him get his chest caved in and he came back like it was nothing.
Hmm.
And she's like basically having this whole existential crisis. And she's like, is Verso a traitor? Blah, blah, blah. And earlier in the game, Verso talks about how he traveled with expeditions, but then he got betrayed. And then he
Right.
kind of stopped. And that's why he stopped visiting Lumiere and stuff like that. And Julie talks about that and says how they're going to trap him and interrogate him and blah blah blah. And then if you travel like literally not even 10 feet away, there is a journal entry from Verso. And in that one, he is literally like breaking down. He's like, Julie, why did you have to be so like inquisitive? Why couldn't you just be accepting of the answers I gave you? Blah blah blah. You just had to keep looking for more and more answers. And he's just like, I wish I had the strength to tell you, but I'm scared of how you would react. And I don't know if you talked to CL at the end after you do her final mission, but she's like, "Is there anybody you would want Mael to bring back?"
I
And
saw that.
he's
Yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah." And there's like, there's one, and there's things that I wish I could tell them now. And that same bar is repeated in that thing. He's like, "Someday I will tell you the truth." And like I will explain and I'll make things right and I'll bring everybody back and this and that. And it kind of shows like before that character development of him realizing that my family's the problem. He's like he had the same goal as everybody else. He wanted to stop the paintress and he wanted to bring all his friends back. And he realized that he could do that. He realized that there was a way to bring everybody back. And then
Hmm.
I guess at some point he realized that that wasn't the correct path either.
Right. Exactly. Just had that character development. That's
Mhm.
I remember that's I yeah, I found Julie's journal in that part. That was just
And those were
more
the
lore,
longest
man.
ones.
Yeah, more lore. It's crazy. The and it speaking of just like figuring things out down the line, like Minoko and when you first meet Minoko, Verso's talking to him. It's kind of like in private, like the two of them go off, and he's like, they're talking about Mael, and Verso's just like, "Do you realize who she is?" And Minoko's like, "Of course I realize who she is." So like they knew right
Yeah.
off like the bat, like I know who that is. Yeah, absolutely, that's Alicia. Like,
Duh.
duh. So it's just there's this game is so good. It's so well written. It's
Mhm.
so well realized. I think we touched on everything we were going to touch on today, but just this it's not a masterpiece, but
No.
man, it's close. it's
Mhm.
it's it's the closest I think any games can be to just a really really good game. I think it's
Did
my
you
game of the year
oh,
currently.
easily.
Absolutely.
Easily.
I There's nothing else I can say. This is a really good game.
Did you do anything with Simon?
No, but I watched the fight, and that's insane.
Yeah, it was hard.
That's a FromSoft fight, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like him too. I guess he was like painted Clea's like lover.
Yeah, and he was the guy that Renoir like trapped in his place, right?
So like the story with him is he was on Expedition Zero. He was friends with
Mhm.
Verso. I don't know how close they were, but Verso said they were friends. And I guess him and Clea were in a relationship. And at some point before real life Clea trapped, painted Clea in the Flying Manor, Simon obviously realized that she disappeared. Real life Clea pretended to be her. And
Oof.
you get this in his journal too. He's just like, she looks so much like you, and she told me all these things, and I believed her. And apparently, um, she gave Simon these like godly powers. He's the one who killed the fourth Axum that's in Old
Oh,
Lumiere.
wow.
All those golden projected swords, astral swords, are
Mhm.
his.
Oh, wow.
He did that. He's the one that tore up everything. Um, and he's like, she told him, if you go to the bottom of the monolith and you kill Renoir, that will free Clea, basically. But in
Mhm.
actuality, he went down, he broke the cave or whatever, and he freed Renoir, which is how he got out and went to wherever he was in the beginning of the game. And then, yeah, so you go down and you fight him, and then you beat his first phase, and then you just hear Clea talking to him. It's like, you fell gods and all this. Are you really going to give up your mission to save me to these whelps or whatever? And then he goes beast mode.
Insane.
And one of my favorite parts of it is after you finish it is you beat him and he just kind of stands there. And I think the similar thing that happens with Clea, he kind of like snaps back into it. He looks at Verso and he stands up straight and he holds out his hand and he hands Verso his weapon. And Verso like takes it from him, and it does this really cool thing with the camera where like it pans from him in a circle and it goes to Verso as he grabs it, and then like it goes, like it shows Verso's back, and then as it comes to the right he disappears and he's gone from the camera, and
Mhm.
Verso just kind of looks down at the weapon. And right before that, Simon just like nods to him. There's no words spoken. It's just like, this is yours now. Finish what needs to be done. I'm entrusting it all to you. And it's
Mhm.
just like really powerful because like that's his last friend.
Yeah.
The Again, it's not needed lore, but it's just like that little context clues that like show
But
you how everything happened.
exactly, it's just like the painted pieces of of just like of the lore of stuff they
Mhm.
didn't need to do, and this stuff is optional too. It's
Yeah.
you have to go looking for this, but again, like if you're like you did, like if you complete everything, it just like paints a bigger picture of like the
Mhm.
stakes and the world.
To me too, that also like kind of helps with Verso's point. Like, this family just really is so skewed and they're just
Yeah.
abusing their powers. Like, Clea literally took herself, lied to this guy just to like get her way.
Mhm.
They're using real people or not, they're using them as things to accomplish their own goals.
Yeah, exactly. It's the pain, these godlike people abusing their godlike powers
Hmm.
and ruining lives because of it. And
Hmm.
I think that's a metaphor that could be a message for a lot of different things.
Yep.
But just it's it goes to show like when you have this immense power over people and what you can destroy, what you can create, but what you can destroy because of it. So
Yeah,
it's it's a great message, a great metaphor. And probably a great way to end the show we got today.
I think so. I think we
I think
covered
so
a
too.
lot of bases. There's
Mhm.
so much more to talk about. It's just
There's
crazy.
so, there's so much more, dude. Like this could really be a 3-part series. We could go act for act
Oh,
if we
for
wanted
sure.
to. Absolutely. But no, Shots, I'm glad we finally found a game that we both completed together.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we both completed a game at the very least, but at the same
At
time
the
we've
same
played
time,
it.
it's rare anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we should do it more often. We should like, maybe pick a game and play it, and we can come down and do like a really long form episode about it.
Yeah, it'd be a good excuse to actually like sit down and not just give up a game 2 days
Absolutely.
later.
Remember God of War?
Remember God of War? And I gotta pick up Red Dead again before your
I
girlfriend
know.
kills me.
I know. For Mallory comes for your throat, man. Absolutely. But no, man, this was fun. Again, we'll be back to do some more stuff like this, but I did enjoy our painted time here with Clair Obscur
Yes.
Expedition 33. If you had to rate it, so before we end off, if you had to rate it, scale of 1 to 10, you can do like 0.5s if you want as well. What
Mhm.
would you rate it?
I would say with all the things we talked about, like improvements and whatnot, just for how shockingly good it is for 30 people,
Mhm.
just the conversations that it's brought, like debates and everything, and just how wholeheartedly I threw myself into. It's like a 9.2,
9.2?
nine point
Okay.
two, 9.5. Yeah.
I respect that. I respect that. It's I think I'd say a 9 for me. A 9
Yeah.
for me. Um, but it's close. It's up there. I
It's up
struggle
there.
with 9 or 9.5 because of just how good this game was off the
Yeah.
bat. And again, the improvements we suggested, they're not like, it's small, they're small little things. So it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. But
If they ever like make DLC, which people said they are, because in the Endless Tower, there's these pictures that people are hypothesizing are for DLC or
mhm.
a second game, even somehow. I don't know how they would do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Right?
Who knows? But like, yeah, if they buckle down, and I'm sure they made a bank from this.
Oh,
Take those
absolutely.
resources and really just dial in.
Hmm.
Easy,
Absolutely.
easy.
Yeah. I'll be on that so fast.
Oh yeah.
So fast. All right, my boy.
All right.
Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Yes.
Uh, for all our listeners out there, thank you for listening. You can rate us on Spotify and Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. You want to give us a little 5-star review that really helps out with the searchability of the show. It's very fun. You can catch us at Double Kick Games on Instagram. That's where we're always posting when episodes go live and all that. It's our usual social hub right there. Other than that, Shots, I had a really good time, and
Yes.
we should come back for the next one.
I would love to.
All
Absolutely.
right. Heck yeah, my man. I'll catch you soon.
See ya. For those who come
Bye.
after.
For those that come after.